at you. Live in the flesh. Enabling push to talk. Bam. That's not push to talk. 1 second. We gotta do this right. First time. Enable. Testing. 1, 2, 3. We're here. As you guys can see, there's a lot of juicy drama going on here. A lot of soy boys and bots. So we're gonna get to the bottom of this, like CoffeeZilla says. We're gonna get to the bottom of it. First, we're gonna start off with the main course.
You were fired as a teacher from the California school district. Can you tell us your story? What happened?
So students found my Instagram. I'd like to think that maybe they searched me up to see a picture of my kid, but they ended up finding my views, my opinions, beliefs via social media and used those to craft allegations about how I
kids from school, little punk ass kids.
Do my job. There was a specific video that seemed to really upset students. I was shopping in Kohl's and I was seeing all of the different pride and rainbow clothing. It's now being made for children, toddlers, and babies. And I was voicing in my video, I think that this is wrong.
And there's nothing wrong with having an opinion. It's called a freedom of speech.
A 3-year-old, a 12-month-old can't understand what is meant by this. They took it as me being hateful, transphobic, homophobic, and they sent them into the school district. So the school district pulled me out of work and said, we need to investigate something that has been brought to our attention. You're being placed on paid administrative leave.
So some kids, right? Some kids go through her stuff and in California, they try to bully her, blackmail her, and get her fired just because they don't like her. Maybe because they made them feel inadequate. Some nonsense. Now we'll move on to the next one.
Florida, living there because of some of the laws that are happening. What do you say to people who are still there, part of the queer community, who are scared?
Well, first of all, I left for a lot of reasons. I think when you say things, sometimes it get a little misquoted. I left to support my wife in LA and her career.
Good luck living in LA, bro. They're gonna mug your ass.
But one of our decisions was, where was going to be the safest and best community for our daughter. LA was one of the safest, best communities for her. I love Miami. But the last couple of years, the laws and the politics has really, become this big conversation. It's unsafe for my daughter. It's unsafe for all the young kids and the youth and the adults, the elder and the trans community.
You didn't really move because of DeSantis and it was unsafe for your daughter.
True. Facts.
You moved because your wife wears the pants in that family and you're there to support her career in LA. That's why you left. But this is a great opportunity for you to stand on this LGBTQ pedestal and virtue signal. You know what he did? He politicized it. That's what he did. That's what he did. He's leading everybody to believe that Ron DeSantis gave him and his family a 30-day notice. Hey, you need to get the hell out of here.
You have left Florida, living there.
Politicized. Grief. It's a lot of grief. This one was yesterday. I watched a few of them just to see what exactly was going on. And it's not good. It's not good at all. We'll watch some of them together.
11 million listeners per episode now. I see absolutely no reason why he won't have 20 million listeners per episode in a year, especially if people keep trying to take him out. And it's so funny, especially watching CNN go after him. They keep treating Joe like he's the fringe. I think what the CNN guy who was criticizing the other day said, Rogan is just winging it. It's like, you try winging it, buddy. And once all the dust settles, CNN will have half the viewers they have now, and Joe Rogan will have twice the viewers, and we'll be doing just fine. Rogan has 11 million.
The truth. The grifters. Let's watch this one. This guy's name.
Are you tired of spending 6 hours trying to figure out what kind of dumb internet bullshit are these micro internet celebrities getting up to today? Are you sick and tired of wasting 8 fucking hours of your life when you could be doing anything else more productive, such as sleeping, walking your dog, and exercising? Well, you've come to the right place, where I summarize this shit within like 2 minutes or less.
She also publicly posted Wonder's suicide note as a means of tarnishing his credibility because clearly her dear friend she is concerned about it is unstable. That's just a broken sentence. Then it came out. All these allegations they used to justify terminating the other dude were having conversations with herself via burner accounts. She could start rumors, act very concerned about these allegations she cooked up herself 5 minutes ago. The funniest part of her whole channel is investigating shady business practices. Like, how do you not think these people had receipts when you dug up receipts in 1986 for a living? Hypocrisy is staggering. No name, no face. He says he's 1727, 326 bots, and the bot master Murphy. He's like, yeah, I'm a grifter. Someone spent literally days watching as everything developed. It's almost perfect summary. Yep, a loser. 10 of 10 wasted 8 hours of my life. 720. This is the worst part about all this context. It wasn't that bad throughout. Most of it, she's pretty truthful, but it sucks to see she's the same person as the people she actively shames. Look at all these social justice warriors that come on for days. Bless you, we need more channels like you. Oh, we're just jerking each other off. See what that guy posted twice? Nah, that's just once. But all these guys, they're just bots. They're not even real people. It's the same guy. The AI is what they say. Thank you for not wasting my time. You're so cute. You're so handsome. You're a hero. You saved cancer patients. You fed the homeless and you brought food to Africa. It goes on for quite a while. My brother, you see why I can't just read them all, but Mr. Murphy, he likes to go through and heart all of them. So we'll see if we get Murphy to heart ours. It does go for a while, actually. Look at all this bots. Oh, who the fuck cares, though? Apparently everyone. Apparently not. Okay, we posted our comment. We're a real person and not a bot. So you can see me, I can talk, I can do math, dance problems. You name it, I got it. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay, let's go. Anyways, so this entire drama kind of starts off with Illuminaughtii making a call-out tweet basically saying, hey, this other YouTuber named Legal Eagle copies my editing. He was stalking
Legal Eagle. We're gonna find out about this Legal Eagle. Let's see who Legal Eagle is.
Hey legal eagles, I think the legal system is fascinating. Love it or hate it, the law affects everyone in virtually everything that we do. And I think more people should know how it works. I'm Devin, the big bird over here at Legal Eagle. I've been a practicing litigator for over 10 years. I've seen it all from billion-dollar cases to pro bono Hail Marys.
Oh, that's Legal Eagle.
he was stalking and harassing my editors, trying to copy my editing. Legal Eagle then formulates a response of, nuh-uh. So then Illuminaughtii kind of copes for the next couple of hours and then makes a 40-minute long apology video that was obviously rushed. In this 40-minute long apology video, she spends the first 10 minutes apologizing for looking retarded on Twitter, but then decides to divert the attention away from herself by completely slandering two individuals who have absolutely nothing to do with the situation. She slanders these two people named The Click and Wonder, and basically says The Click is okay with pedophiles being in his Discord server, and Wonder is a lazy piece of shit and is kind of an asshole behind the scenes. So then these two begin to make their own videos responding to Illuminaughtii. The Click responds with a 30-minute video basically saying, no, when I found out about that pedophile, I banned him almost right away as soon as I found out. Okay, just because I was fucking sleeping when he was lurking and grooming, that's not my fucking fault. And then Wonder decides to make a fucking 1 hour and 39 fucking minute video.
1 hour. Oh, that's so long. I'm a 2-minute video, Andy. My name is Murphy. Let's look at Murphy's profile. 36,000 views. He loves that. So he goes from oh, look at all this clickbait. The whole thing is Illuminaughtii. See? He's like, no views. Tries to go back to the other stuff. And then he's like, I gotta go back to Illuminaughtii. See? He's like, I love you, Illuminaughtii. You're the best thing that's ever happened to me. Let me take advantage of you.
A feature-length film basically saying, nuh-uh, you're kind of a psychopathic bitch behind the scenes. I did the most I could. I was working 2 jobs and I was 19 and you were trying to basically...
Ah, man has 2 jobs.
...ruin my fucking life. Go kill yourself. And also her house is really fucking messy. Like really fucking messy. Like, oh my fucking...
Yeah, like, oh, her house is messy. That's our go-to argument. Don't like her because her house is messy. That's our thing. Yeah, let's check out this guy. He's got 24K, and it's only 1 day ago. I watched this guy last night. So, I already seen it, but I'm just getting a little...
It's about that time again, you know the drill. If you don't know the drill by now, click here to get caught up. Anyways, One Topic at a Time has now released his video on the Illuminaughtii situation. He was another member of Sad Milk here. He has his video split into 7 parts, so instead of you guys having to go and watch this half-hour response, I'm here to break it down for you. He began saying that he's over this, as well as he's tired of being bullied around.
And I was, frankly, just tired of being bullied.
He comes off as a very humble dude in this, who doesn't really want to be involved in this, but seemingly has been pulled into this situation purely based off of chance. He goes on to explain,
Illuminaughtii has dropped a video about it, one that at the time of recording this is still up, and it should be taken down. Take it for what you will, but a lot was framed incorrectly or was outright false.
He describes how there wasn't any apparent issues with payment, dude. He talks about throughout its existence, project members would contribute to those who would have more financial issues, so...
Okay, so get this, like, Illuminaughtii, she uses her platform. She gets these guys jobs. She gives them real life money, and oh no, she's a terrible person.
They could remain in the project, and that Blair's entire narrative about financial situations are false.
And the vague accusations that payments weren't made and were still an issue right to the end of the project is also just odd. One solution discussed, for example, was the rest of the...
We are acting funny when there's money around. We were perfectly normal people until money came.
The group taking on those costs. For example, when we found out that one of the group members couldn't get the 100K plaque because they couldn't afford the cost of it, we discussed pitching in together with our earnings to get it for them.
Moving on to the next part, he defends Click and the allegations Blair put out against the Discord situation. He mentions how she asked him if Click would support those actions or not. No! He didn't, surprise, and he again defends the point that the issue had been dealt with at the time, but Blair seemingly wanted to make it a bigger deal than it already was compared to everyone else.
Illuminaughtii sounded pretty upset during our one-on-one call, and I wanted to be there for my friend, but I know without a...
I wanted to be there for my friend. I'm wearing these sunglasses inside, so no one can see my eyes, and I got purple hair. I'm progressive. Look at my toys. I got a bunch of toys. He even has a thing that says Barrows and Weirdos. Weirdos? He's literally advertising as a weirdo. That he wants your sympathy that he's not. He's a normal guy, just like us.
Doubt that Click would not support that person's behavior.
He also emphasizes the point that everyone was on the same page that Click was asleep, except for her, apparently.
Let's see this propaganda. And of course, he's blocking that part right there. He's like, oh, I'm going to put my body right over the thing. That's the guy apparently with pedophiles. The Click. Oh yeah, let's kiss each other. That's basically what that says. Has nothing to do. It even has kissing noises. Not playing.
He also here shows his departing message here.
Hey fam, I've had a quick
Okay, oh no worries. I don't want to leave you out. And keep it open. Oh, and it's not Russian too. Blair just left us over. Man. Hey fam. I had a quick chat with Oz, but I wanted to share you with the details. I decided to step away from Sad Milk. Aw, so sad. You won't be missed.
chat with Oz, but I want to share with you the details.
Look, he's wearing a mask still. He's wearing a mask on his profile.
I've decided to step away from Sad Milk. Sad Milk is an excellent project, one that I've loved participating in and making friends
you
through.
love
I
the
genuinely
money. You love getting that sweet, sweet money. Give me that money, Blair.
care for each of you, and it's hard to recognize when things are fundamentally not working despite trying to push through it.
Like communism. I love communism since it doesn't work. Literally, we don't work. We just sit around on our asses and expect you to do it for us.
have done my best to adapt myself, my voice, my presence, and my humor around what all of you will find works in a video. And I've done my absolute best to be the voice of reason when big things are changing or we need someone to prepare bad news, but the level of involvement I've
Bad news. We got bad news, guys.
had is not sustainable, and progressing further into it this way is continuing to be unhealthy for me, both publicly and privately. Currently, I will be stepping away from
Unhealthy. The money is unhealthy. I want more money. Give me more money, Blair. I want more money.
From Sad Milk. I don't have any public messaging planned, as any change, such as someone leaving, can make people feel like a project is on rocky footing, and I don't want my personal exit to be the cause of yet more drama. I love you all, and I need to do this for my sake.
He says he doesn't want more drama, but he wants more drama.
What we've done so far, and I know you can take this further.
I mean, it's very, like, friendly, right?
We wanted what was best for our friends.
After his
we wanted what was best for our friends. Who are you talking to? You trying to convince yourself?
Post in the Discord here, Illuminaughtii ghosted him and then spun rumors to benefit her retelling of events.
Now, why is this guy doing it? CB2. Let's look at his profile. Who is this guy? Uh-oh. He's an Illuminaughtii here. He's a grifter. Looks like he lives his whole career trying to grift. I wonder why he's here. I'm sure it's not for the people. 69K. I'm sure it's not for the people. 36K. 69K. 47K. Oh, 3K. 2K. 15K. 23K. 24K. So he started harassing Illuminaughtii 1 month ago. And he loves the attention. He's like, give me some of that more attention. Oh, we got a notification. He gave me a heart. He believes in me. He doesn't even know, dog. I'm dogging his ass.
If you like my accurate retelling of events, be sure to like the video. Anyways, he then delves into mental health and defends Wonder again against Blair weaponizing his mental health to prove a point.
I figured those kind of personal details would be off limits and no way would be used as a weapon. We were surprised by the Reddit posts. Certainly. The details from the troll account were so specific.
He then goes on to talk about her alt accounts and the intentional damage that Blair intended to cause to One Topic's and Click's relationship at the time.
Intentional phrasing to drive a wedge between Click and I. And One Topic is friends with someone while pretending to be wholesome and good. I think One Topic is a liar and a sham and has been pandering to our community if he stays friends with someone like this. He is using us for money.
He is using us for money. But let's look at that statement. I think he leads into the second problem I saw with one of the Topic supporters Discord. I'm a patron member, so I give money. And when this drama started brewing, he left his own server, and we paid to have him there and talk to us, and he left us for weeks. I have a lot of mods too, and I think they found out what happened and realized that if he stayed friends with Clicks, even when he says these things, that One Topic doesn't actually care about his community or the LGBTQTA mafia. One Topic server has always been the very inclusive. We're so inclusive that we attack our friends and family. It's nonsense. Nigga, click that. I don't know where it goes. They're paying Salty, so I think Salty needs money, so he left Sad Milk off. Just like I said earlier, this is all about money. Give me that money.
He also talks about how he talked to Blair about his financial situations, mainly in relation to Patreon, which is why it hurts so much when Blair said this on her alt account.
And I talked about how making content for the Patreon was taking a lot of time, but how I really enjoyed my circle over there. And the comment, I know I'm going to be leaving and stop supporting him on Patreon, sounded so...
Don't mess with my money, kid.
He also goes into detail how she was spreading private information about their personal lives, and community members would message him along with these accusations.
Yeah, that's called real life. Like, if I cried every time someone talked dirty about me behind my back, man, we're grown-ass men. She's a woman. That's what women do. That's facts. Women gossip. Men are supposed to handle this shit.
He then ends this off by sending a powerful message to Illuminaughtii herself.
I still don't want to believe all of this is true. I'm not convinced the person who did this did not intend real-world harm to us.
If she had intended real world harm, she would hire someone like me to come to your house with a baseball bat, and you would do what I said.
The only kind of person who could slander their friends like this is someone who...
Apparently you're not our friend. Because you're here grifting.
Who is darkly unremarkable. What you did was unacceptable and goes so far beyond...
I'll tell you what's unacceptable is sending me to your house with a baseball bat. And I could be anywhere. Like $10, I could go along with $10.
Any petty beefs or squabbles or hurt feelings. This wasn't just trying to separate yourself from us like we asked for and worked to do.
A peaceful divorce. We're getting divorced. I want kids on Tuesday. You could have the kids on Wednesday.
You acted like this was a war and that you should be...
This is a war? 1 second. Just gonna type in her name. Oh, this doesn't look like a war. Look at all these people attacking her, and this isn't a war. All these people trying to get some money. Oh, look, there's Thorfinn. Thorfinn was like, there are no enemies, just you. And there's CoffeeZilla doing the work again. And oh no, another person trying to get money from Illuminaughtii. I'm a dog piler. It's okay when women do it, but the guys should be held to a higher standard. The Illuminaughtii is a sellout. Uh-oh. Chris Brown. Andrew Tate's in on it too. Oh, everyone's doing it. Even this guy. Be like, oh. And that's about it. Slay Queen. Hypocrite. Just a wall of echo chamber. Like, just because you're louder doesn't make you right.
Recruiting soldiers to come after us.
Yeah, soldiers.
You lied. And I can only think that's because you wanted us gone. Not just off of YouTube.
You should go get a real job,
You
bro.
wanted these lies to come into our everyday life offline.
I'm here.
That's about all I got for now. Be sure to have your notifications on for when there's another update. Anyways, I'm out.
Yeah, we'll find out when there's an update.
Thank you to channel members Parcelet Pay.
Yeah, let's check the next one. We got this guy right here. Let's go watch all these.
Opportunity that he
I
made.
stopped watching here last night because I got tired, but we'll start
Left
over.
me very thin and sometimes irritable, and I want to say thank you for supporting me through it and talking me through so many hard times. I'm gonna miss all the fun things we used to do, eating way too much cheese.
Alright, welcome back, ladies and ladies with dicks. So there's two types of fat people in this world. The really sweet, gentle giants that you might blow around.
First thing he does is he shames her for her body weight. There's no girth to his argument. He goes to insults. That's something a person without intelligence would do.
Raspberry ad if you step too close. Or the condescending grease beavers that make sure to go.
I'll give him his last like. We'll give this guy like here. We thanked him for his service.
Go out of their way to not lose anything or control in a life predicament besides maybe a few pounds. There's honestly no in between. You either getting Totoro or Ursula out of these bitches, and unfortunately today's main target is practically a spitting image of her. Illuminaughtii, or other known as Simply Blair, is a two-faced mentally deranged YouTuber.
Two-faced, mentally deranged.
That amassed over 1 billion subscribers for exposing major corporations or companies, calling
Uh-oh, that sounds like a good thing.
them out for the horrible business practices, worker treatment, and just overall being shady, yet being one shady son of a bitch
Over being shady, or being a shady bitch.
herself. Her content is the last thing that is really important out of this situation, but what I
Let's see who this Briz guy is. We're going through the whole
Probably more than
chain.
half of you have.
Okay, 61K, 300K, 90K. Looks like his whole channel is based off of deplatforming and hate speech. Uh-oh. 5,000 subscribers. Uh-oh. I'm sending this guy to the casket. YouTube is ruining lives. Now, this looks like it's his first one, so he's trying to get in on that sweet, juicy Illuminaughtii money before, Keemstar gets in on it too. It's gonna be a feeding frenzy.
can tell you is that her videos work almost better than melatonin for sleep treatment. I can bet you if you play one of her videos in public, that shit would look like Kensington City with how many people would be nodding off. I mean, hell, one of her videos is about how Panera Bread freezes
Oh, I'm sleeping through her content, but my content is
their
just
bread.
me
Like,
playing
anybody
video
could give
games.
one luck of a fuck. This being 30 minutes, I would expect Panera to be skinning their employees alive and dumping cyanide into her salad.
At least he watched one of her recent videos. I saw that, and that was like 2 weeks ago.
How she even gained over 1 million subs with everything she
I have no clue how she did it. She must be a miracle worker.
reads being absolutely snorendous is beyond me or science to even understand. I would place bets that her videos is used as a form of torture in North Korea.
Who doesn't love a good
Imagine
mac
one
and
with that
cheese,
cute
right?
shell-
Imagine
who
one
doesn't
with
love a
that
good
cute
mac
shell
and cheese
pasta.
But the one funny thing she did say out of the whole Panera video, and presumably from just her whole entire life in general, was by accident, giving her stance on abuse at the workplace and mistreatment of employees.
The thing is, It's gross when any business thoughtlessly exploits their employees in this way, no matter who it is.
You know, Blair, I just couldn't agree more, which is why we're going to be covering the relentless lying, bullying, and abuse that—
Oh, let's get into it. Let's get into this abuse. Show me the abuse. I want to see the abuse.
you gave the people that you— The one funny thing she did—
Can we stop the screenshot?
Which is why we're going to be covering the relentless lying, bullying, and abuse that you gave— Relentless lying.
I understand the concerns and potential impact that these false allegations have caused. My team and I are actively working behind the scenes to gather all relevant facts. I am committed to transparency and accountability through the process. That sounds like a good thing. I don't know about those flags though, but hey, you do you. But hey, our team is paid.
Bullying and abuse that
I want to read that one.
You consider good friends and co-workers. And abuse that— Relentless lying, bullying.
They spend hours of their life all to help some YouTuber they love and look up to. The very least thing any content creator can and should do is give their team the respect they deserve. Mods have always been the backbone of every YouTube, Twitch community. To disrespect them and try to throw them away is insane. They're the ones who have the pulse of the community. Like, I'll never be able to properly thank my entire team. My God, I'll try. That sounds good, actually. Like, how is that bad? How is that bad?
Bullying and abuse that you gave the people that you consider good—
Is giving people money abuse? Abuse me, daddy.
Friends and co-workers. One of them involving practically stealing their car.
I wonder, editing hours, boredom, not so. Well, I'm pretty sure if she stole his car, she'd be in jail, so there's that.
And publicly airing out their private suicidal thoughts for all of the public to see. But I know you can bear—
If you're suicidal, that probably means something's wrong in the beginning.
barely even consider them workers on your payroll because you delay all their payments to buy more CSC cans off of Amazon that you can huff in your
According to what's his name, the guy from CB2's video, the guy that was talking with the blue hair, he was like, no, all the payments were fine. So that one's debunked.
decrepit Section 8 house in Skid Row, June Beetles doing needles on the floor ass fucking room of yours. Like, damn, bitch, you really—
Then back to the room, like, can a girl have a dirty room? Who cares? It's her bedroom. She can do with it what she wants. She's busy.
live like this with a million subs. How much methamphetamine can a human consume? It looks—
And of course, this guy's calling her a drug addict now, so that shows his credibility.
Looks like the Incredible Hulk just got done gamma bombing a bitch's cheeks out in this apartment. Bitch had me clutching my Febreze like I'm John Wayne seeing this damn monstrosity. But without any more blabbering, let's just get into the timeline of Blair's drama and what led her into becoming one of the most hated YouTubers on the site, getting double ratioed on her own apology, having video—
Yeah, who cares? They're just bots. They're not even people. They're you guys. You pay your real life money for bots to make yourself look inflated like a frog.
videos exposing her come up in the search bar before her own channel, and dropping townships worth of subscribers on a daily basis. The first of the 7 plagues that caused this shitstorm to brew was Blair posting out a tweet a month back calling out another YouTuber that goes by the name of Legal Eagle.
Legal Eagle. Is this him? Let's see the Legal Eagle. 400 views, 2 million views. Fox News was screwed. He looks like he makes the same content as this guy. Let's see. Put them up side by side.
Probably more.
Oh no, they make the same content. Except for one of them's got a degree in making the same content. Bruh, you trying to intimidate a little girl. That's what this guy's trying to do. He's smarter than he looks. And he knows more about what's going on than he lets you believe. He's like untrustworthy, like a lawyer means. It means don't trust me. I do shady stuff.
licensed lawyer that works at a civil court, which I think is a very important thing to note, for having his editors somehow steal her style of content and leeching off her editing team to create their videos for Eagle, especially with the so-called evidence being a ripped up piece of construction paper and a fucking highlighter effect.
Oh no, this guy's harassing me and my staff. And then they tell me something and I believe it.
Little damn doodle is somehow a criminal offense to this woman and a blatant act of plagiarism. Something that
What you guys don't understand is Blair's not an individual. She's an entity. So she relies on other people to say and do things.
I've only seen 100 times in all the documentaries that were ever made. Google Docs have been on the wave for about a good 15 years, so you're gonna sue them for jacking your shit too? Or Vox that became so famous for it, there's YouTube tutorials out there.
Imagine suing a lawyer. What? He's a lawyer, he's fine.
They're showing how to do the so-called Vox effect, like you didn't invent the highlighter, bitch. The delusion to even believe for a second that you dragged your 5-pack of Vienna
Calling her a bitch is gonna help your argument. I say bad words, I'm cool.
Sausage fingers across your computer mouse to highlight a sentence and instantly flip the desk over and thought this was the greatest thing since the invention of the microwave just goes to show how batshit crazy you are. It's a yellow border around some Tribucket font. You're not paving no path for the future with the content you do. Trust me, the past 3 weeks you practically solidified your tombstone on the platform. Here is the editor who Blair...
I think what comes around comes around. There's a saying, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And this guy right here, this Briz, he lives by the sword. A pyramid chain. Oh, look at all these bots. Goes for a while. All garbage. Nothing productive. Just them all wiping each other's asses like an AI does. They're not even people.
Claims violently studied her every move to steal her content. Now, I'm not reading all that shit for the video, but in hindsight, Eagle's editor reached out to Blair on
He says he's not going to read it, so I'll read it for him. I work as an editor for Legal Eagle, and I was wondering if there was some After Effects plugins you guys use for the things like your intro to the first NFL video where the lighter color appears and they stick out 3D. We could recreate it, but we figured there was probably a faster method you were using. Thanks. So his team reaches out to Blair and they harass them basically, and then they get mad when Blair comes back at them. So they poke the bear, and then the bear's poking back, but unbehold to Blair, it was an ambush set up by Mr. Legal Eagle. But what Mr. Legal Eagle doesn't know is that I'm here, and I can eat his ass no problem. I'm the big dog.
Email and Discord politely asking her for some plugin effects to use for their vids, showing quite the contrary to him having any hostility that Blair accused him of coming at him with, and simply asked,
am I allowed to post a video essay I made that was inspired by Blair's channel, or was that like no self-promotion? Also, there's any way I can talk to one of the video editors I edit for Legal Eagle. I want to know how they did the specific effect. You have to be a level 2 to post links, then the best place to that would be advertise yourself. And about talking to the editing team, I emailed in the past but got no responses, so I figured I'd try here. Oh, this doesn't look good for them.
Asking people around for a simple plugin. Legal Eagle himself would finally bust his way
A simple plug-in. Plug me in, coach. Give me the money.
out the courtroom after sentencing 3 men to execution to move on for his off-duty fourth by responding to Blair directly with, "Hey Illuminaughtii, I think..."
Let's see if he'll read it.
This is a big misunderstanding. Perhaps great minds think alike. No one on my team is trying to copy you. Without an exhaustive review of your channel, I believe we used those 2 styles before your channel did.
You're a fucking idiot.
So the guy that studied law for 12 years.
So they goaded her into it. It's a old, you hold up one hand, you show him a cool magic trick, and in the other hand, you punch him. It's like, give me your money.
Years for a master's degree, managed to gavel swing the gallstones out of her and made her immediately apologize for.
And she even apologized. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Is that a bad thing to admit that you're wrong? But that's not enough, because they're not after that. They're after her money.
For trying to trademark a piece of shredded paper. And furthermore, Eagle would display another screenshot that Blair purposely left out that displayed his editor not stirring any type of trouble by thanking everybody in there for the absolute zero help that they provided.
So they just said, I'm busy, sorry kid. And he's like, oh, thanks.
Because even her fans talk like librarians. And to make matters worse, somebody responded with a video showing Blair ripping off other documentaries word for word and line by motherfucking line without making sure to skip a beat.
A man named Hugh Fudenberg, a former immunologist who has been long controversial.
Professor Fudenberg has long been controversial.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit with the Food and Drug Administration, which told him he had to stop injecting his autistic patients with blood product.
In 1989, he was caught up in a bizarre lawsuit involving the Food and Drug Administration, which...
And it doesn't prove anything, dog. Sorry. Another miss.
Told him he had to stop injecting his autistic child patients with blood products.
Right from the soul where it always hits the hardest, Blair. Really love seeing you stick to your word of never watching other documentaries to influence your opinions. This whole entire drama was entirely unwarranted from the get-go, but it solved itself rather quickly and showed Blair's huge lack of emotional control. However, this would be like throwing a match into an erupting volcano, because this situation is what spiraled Blair from being somebody who might have made a small mistake throughout her career into crashing her career into a brick fucking wall.
Okay, he says this is the real stuff now. Everything else was just a tip.
After all of this ended and it seemed like the whole entire ordeal would be over with, one of Blair's former friends and business partners,
The Click. Ella, you smell great today. Creator of Emotional Support Demon. Support Demon. And Mango Landshark plushies. Voice actor.
by the name of Click, came out with one of the Elder Scrolls worth of information detailing his last encounter he had with the group channel Sad Milk with Illuminaughtii and Illuminaughtii herself, which was her having some schizo attacks like Akira whenever he started hearing the bells or some shit and calls, and tasered her tonsils about how everybody but
this guy's just crying.
her is practically worthless. And due to their boss telling them to go fuck themselves silly, Click and many other members decided to leave the group and Sad Milk together as a whole. Click would go on to explain how Blair was a sadistic puppet master that would throw other people under the bus to make herself
all hearsay.
Look good, including making up lies about how the group ended on her Twitter and Reddit, deleting any comments that didn't welcome a dick in their open mouth about Blair being the most amazing, wacky, incredible.
Hey, takes one to know one. You guys love dicks in your mouth.
Combustion, a giggly fun person out there, and other comments that were supportive of other members in the group other than her, such as Click himself. Whenever his Discord server surpassed the amount of members hers had, she instantly had a stroke and would start spreading false accusations about his staff to have them fired and replaced with their own meat-munching minions. And of course, Blair almost being horny for despair, she would eventually turn against Click himself when people drew suspicion to her being the reason that the group ended by paying random people to sit through decade-old raw audio recordings of Click just
paying. That's very nice to pay people.
Sitting there talking to see if he said any slurs to cancel him for.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Wish I was kidding, but this bitch is that ostentatious and psychotic, and the supposed slurs she was found to bring impending doom on Click's career was the word retarded. Even though she says it all the time off camera. Yeah, that sounds kind of retarded if you ask me. Especially
who cares? Retarded. Oh no.
When she made a whole video about the corruption of Autism Speaks just to be around the corner pretending to have autism on a burner account to spread more lies about the Sad Milk members. But from somebody that almost pursued a legal case with a licensed lawyer.
Okay, let's see what this says.
From somebody that almost pursued a legal case with a licensed lawyer, you really can't be too shocked, but maybe you will be soon because it only gets worse from here. Wonderstruck and
almost pursued. Oh, in one of the other videos I saw they were raising money for Mr. Eagle.
An editor that directly worked, lived, and communicated with Blair for months on end came out with his own heart-tearing story that made Clix's situation look like a motherfucking birthday bash. He came out with his own Twitter thread that lined up with almost all of Clix's statements, but then provided his own personal story that shows how this bitch is more evil than Mother Gothel. He would immediately back up what Click was saying by having the first-hand experience of living with her, and would go on explaining his survivor story.
Oh, echo chamber. So she paid you money. And this says it's about Click, that he says the N-word. This isn't about Blair. Oh.
Lies about the Sad Milk members. But from somebody that almost pursued a legal case with a licensed lawyer, you really can't be too shocked.
Why would you protect people, Blair? Why? Why, Blair? Why?
But maybe you will be soon, because it only gets worse from here. Wonderstruck, an editor that directly worked, lived, and communicated with Blair for months on end, came out with his own heart-tearing story that made Clix's situation look like a motherfucking birthday bash. He came out with his own Twitter thread that lined up with almost all of Clix's statements, but then provided his own personal story that shows how this bitch is more evil than Mother Gothel. He would immediately back up what Click was saying by having the first-hand experience of living with her, and would go on explaining his survivor story of the Blair Witch by going,
He survived the horror. Survived getting paid.
Over how in the beginning Sad Milk was much more than a simple group project, but a massive opportunity.
I don't think you should assume this guy's gender, dog.
That he made sure to never miss. Detailing even further how he skipped it.
I miss Christmas.
Christmas with his family to finish a mistake that Blair made for a video project, and Blair must have felt that holiday cheer flying around in the festive air because she decided to buy a bunch of expensive cars, clothes, food, all for herself while delaying Wonder's payments for weeks at a time. Wonder also covered the end of Sabbath.
Delaying doesn't mean not getting, and also that one of the guys said they got it all on time. Something's fishy. Someone's pocketing money.
Milk himself due to
He had become profitable. Blair wanted creative lead, and we went from doing fun creative topics more in line with the Reddit we would all cover on our own channel to doing enthusiastic view content. Blair took control and wouldn't listen to how other videos should be made. So we got hyper loud music with childlike sprites paired with adult humor, which has made being a part of Sad Milk humiliating. My friends and I would watch SMG and laugh and nod at this content. It's humiliating being so rich.
To Blair taking all the
These guys are like all the guys at Twitter when Elon Musk fired them. He just like, get out of here, you bums. You guys are worthless trash.
Meaning out of a group project by having a breakdown when other members of the group offered her ideas and suggestions, how she would make 15 alt accounts to stalk Click's socials and other people she despised, and how she manipulated Wonder to turn against Click, talked about his time living with her.
So you're suicidal, and she sent you numerous messages asking you if you're okay, and you say that's an invasion of privacy.
In the awful A&E Hoarder season special.
Uh-oh. Oh no, her room is messy. The horror. The horror. Kill her. Burn her.
special home that came with it, due to Blair being an absolute slithering slob that probably leaves a snail trail on her mattress from sitting in her bed all day playing a game of Battleship with a friend group, seeing which one of them bitches she sinks first. Due to his mental health issues, a therapist that, no surprise, Blair recommended for him
She didn't say you had to, just suggested. The therapist suggested you leave the house. So you were living there rent-free, I bet.
would tell him to leave the house, and when Blair finally unchained him from the basement to let him free, he was basically at rock bottom, living with no...
Oh, that sounds like a you problem. Why don't you just move back in with your daddy for Christmas? No time for my channel. Oh, boo-hoo, I lost my milk cow. Boo-hoo.
No car, no clothes, no home, and a couple of pennies for his net worth due to Blair being that unbearable to live with. And this is something that angers the absolute fuck out of me, but after Wonder was mentally brave...
I'm so angry. I'm so angry.
...out of the home, Blair threw away some...
I had everything taken from me. She threw my plate, YouTube button in the trash.
Some of his belongings, including his YouTube play button. One thing that Blair didn't fortunately help him accomplish with their demented paranoia, and all those hard years put into achieve were thrown into a bottom of a glad bag due to this bitch that probably wobbles around her house like Squidward whenever he got hit.
Hey, if you can't keep it, it was never really yours, bro. You first time dog.
With the cement truck. If looks could grill, baby, I'm the fashion eater looking ass bitch. And lastly, Oz Media, another member of Sad Milk who lived with Blair, shared how he was also terrified of Blair's coercion and control to even speak about his claim. But in short, he explained how he was Blair's frontman.
Oh, this guy's a filter.
And for everything, confronting other members about her problems for her and getting fed negative insights and rumors from Blair, essentially just fighting her battles without even knowing what enemy he was facing. Whoever Blair's enemy was, she made sure to manipulate Oz into...
I'll tell you guys what, I make their job easy. They're complaining, but I make their job so easy. And then they get paid so much more than I do. Like these guys, they're complaining that they're getting paid. It's like, oh, I get paid more than McDonald's. I get paid more than Starbucks workers. And I don't even have a degree. And Blair teaches us everything we need, and she gives us everything we want.
Making them his enemies too. And he also gave out his time living with her being accurate to the picture that was shown because he was the one that took the fucking picture himself and sent it to Wonder, which Wonder later proved in his own Get Back video.
Because I didn't take these photos, Oz did, and I held back out of respect for my...
It's not that bad. Let me show you a hoarder's room. Okay, so we got this. And this is Asmongold's room. Yeah, who cares? You guys are fucking pussies.
Friend.
He later apologized to Wonder and any other member he could have hurt at the time due to the horrible...
Sounds like he loved the power.
Impressions Blair tricked Oz into believing. Blair simply just doesn't have friends. Whenever somebody is having a positive interaction in her face, she just starts seeing red and starts growling with anger, frantically trying to come up with the fastest way to ruin their day. And with this opening a whole new door after the Legal Eagles situation and with no more corners to back up in, Illuminaughtii finally responded back to all these claims in classic YouTube fashion when it comes to apology videos by lying through 99% of it and maliciously bringing up personal private conversations between Sad Milk members to stigmatize them. She started out her response with the Legal Eagles situation, immediately apologizing for it, probably due to the fact that Legal is the first person to demolish this god complex Blair developed about herself, and respectively humbled her, which she shows in her apology by saying it was a stupid decision and one made off of impulse.
I have apologized privately to Legal Eagle the day after this incident.
Yeah, you just keep regurgitating the same stuff. Like, oh, her room is messy. Oh, she wasn't nice to her paid friends. The boss isn't supposed to be nice, dog.
Occurred, though I...
Compared to other people, Illuminaughti's a saint. Like, other people beat your ass if you talk back.
Have not been publicizing that until right now. Maybe this is something I should have said.
Shut up, bitch!
Something we already knew, and the only thing she would tell the truth about, because after she addressed this, the ship would quickly stop sailing and start fucking sinking. For time's sake, I'm gonna cover her main arguments and her response, and then debunk them one at a time with the overwhelming amount of evidence the Sad Milk members gave afterwards in her own videos to disprove everything that she said. The next person she brings up in her response is Click, starting out with his vicious use of slurs, saying it was still part of his vocabulary to this day without showing
to this day
any more proof or giving a word about it besides clips from decades ago. This is something he has apologized for multiple times, and also providing the simple
so he's allowed to say sorry, but she's not. Lost for thee, but not thy.
answer that people can change in 15 years. Almost like he's just not the same man he is at 30 that he was as a teenager. I feel like that's something that
That's not a teenager, that's a baby.
doesn't need an explanation whatsoever, and with no proof of Click being the slur-spamming Confederate caveman that Blair accuses him still to be, it was all a petty point she randomly brought up to make him look bad. And the only evidence Blair showed further was a screenshot of a conversation without Click in it, but that is like a grain of sand to what she would accuse Click of next, which was being a supporter of child predators by not doing anything about one in his Discord server.
Oh, so he's the pedophile supporter.
There was a situation where a night.
So the guy who says the N-word all the time. Oh, let's see what this says.
18-year-old was openly.
But for her mom told me, as long as we don't do shit like the stuff that should happen with the age of under 16, she's fine with that. Sometimes she and I have this feeling that this is, kind of wrong, but this is the truth. It is wrong at some point. I talk to her a lot. Tell her to leave back if she wants to. She can. She's almost 13 and I'm 19. Her mother is kind of proud about how easy I can say these things, but honestly, it's making me sometimes sick. Talking with my therapist. All these guys got therapists. I don't have a therapist. I am the therapist. Love doesn't know an age. They call those maps. I wanted to be the male she never had. Oh, jail.
Bragging about dating a 12-year-old.
You know what happens to you in jail, dog? Like, we kill you. We just kill you, dog. I've been to jail. We kill kids like you.
Girl on his server, the mods who initially thought it was a joke would reach out to the guy who would buckle down with his chest out, saying that his newfound love in the daycare is not a joke and that he already had conversations with his therapist about it, who said it was okay as long as he didn't touch her. Yeah, lock up whatever sex offender off Fiverr you hired to tell you that was okay to be a passive pedophile. And Blair would go on to say how she had to be the one to take immediate action against a problem in Click's server, insinuating that Click for some reason was going to have some inner spidey sense to spot out the groomer out of a server with over 40,000 people in it, and should have been there on his screen with 2 clothespins in his eyes to keep them open, and should have banned.
The real question is, how long was he there? How long was he doing it? And were they friends? I bet they were friends. It goes much deeper than they let you think. They're trying to downplay it. This guy's trying to downplay it because they're all in on it together. They're all on the same team.
And this guy before he even had a chance to join the server.
It's what they call affiliation. Like the whites roam with the whites, the blacks roam with the blacks, the pedos, they roam with the pedos.
Later randomly throw on another ordeal or one of Click's admins with Sherry NSFW work to minors, a common tactic used by these semen demons to desensitize minors into seeing nude art, and end it off for a point that Click is creating an environment for these creatures to thrive in and is completely irresponsible to let something like this even occur.
On your Discord server that had, and likely still...
You know that doesn't happen on Blair's server, and her server's bigger. Let's see how big her server is. It's here somewhere. I don't know how to see how big it is, so I guarantee you it's bigger.
Has minors present, you as an adult need to do the right thing and actually pay
That sounds good.
Pay attention
right.
to what goes down in your server or ensure a team will take action against inappropriate behavior. I am sorry to those minors who were spoken to in such an inappropriate way.
In Click's response, he would say that the only reason he wasn't even aware or doing anything about this happening at the time was because of the time itself. This whole thing happened at 3 in the morning while Click was in his bed counting sheep in his fucking sleep. And by the time he woke up, the whole entire situation was already handled with.
Now, the first detail that was conveniently left out of the accusations is that I was asleep. In my time zone, this occurred around 2 a.m. and within the span of me sleeping, this random creep in question had already gotten banned.
Then she would later go on to say that because of the situation, she regrets ever being friends with Click and wishes she never helped Click get unbanned off of YouTube when he was wrongfully terminated.
3. She regrets our friendship and
Hey, I would regret your friendship too, dog.
Regrets helping me fix.
You're defending it to take responsibility. You're dodging it. You're shady.
My wrongful channel termination due to the events mentioned.
And lastly, Click would cover the alternative account she made to talk behind the other members' backs, pretending to be a sad milk hater by having an anonymous account on Twitter making vague posts about him like an 8th grader going through his first
bots? I don't know. They all have bots.
breakup, and a burner on Reddit pretending to be a Sad Milk fan, sharing her conspiracies and false narratives on why the group ended, and interacting with their own accounts, having full-blown conversations with them about whether or not Click was wrong, and replying to other comments on her alt saying he could never erase the past and that he still needed to apologize. Well, bitch, you are absolutely right, because look what is catching up to you now. It amazes me to see somebody have the
calling out a pedophile ring is bad, so bad. Punish her for calling out pedo rings.
The portrayal of a character of a triangle, the body of a circle, and the personality of a fucking square. On Twitter, she would literally
this guy, he loves the dog on the way she looks, but this guy, he'll never.
Probably more than half of you have some more gay thoughts than you care to admit.
Move, like, go.
This guy, he hides. He's a coward. Everything he says has no value. He's a loser.
Have conversations with herself between her main account and alt account, almost like seeing the two personas of Moon Knight fucking come out with each reply, with her main account throwing out a mysterious tweet about Click saying people in general just shouldn't use the N-word, only for her alt account to swoop in and confirm all the suspicions by saying Click was somebody who did and linked his ancient relic of racism clip from 12 years ago. Here's her doing it when one of her friends one topic was talking about Markiplier. She randomly thought that would be the
Oh, there's the blue-haired guy.
Perfect time to expose Click for saying the N-word again and linking the same thread. I could show dozens, and I mean dozens of examples, but I think the point has pretty much been laid out that she belongs in Arkham Asylum if the person she talked to the most throughout her day was her fucking self. Something she constantly did for 30 days, all of this pettiness just to get back at a former colleague, knowing that the value of these claims are too worthless to come out on a public apology.
Hey, if I knew someone I knew was involved with pedophilia, kudos. I give points to Blair.
For. And Click would make sure to provide the proof to show how Blair has been behind it.
And she says 16 seconds, the alt account is gonna love this. In the next screenshot, you can see her writing out
That doesn't say anything.
account is gonna love this. In the next screenshot, you can see her writing out a draft
That's not proof that that's her. It doesn't say the same thing.
of this. In the next screenshot, you can see her writing out a draft.
The next person she would bring
Yeah, a draft, but that doesn't connect. The evidence is false.
up is Wonderstruck and immediately brings up his delayed payment, saying that she
113K, and he's complaining. This Wonderstruck guy, he's got 100,000 subscribers from Blair, and he's complaining.
was simply following what many companies do for some reason and
You guys ever see the show Breaking Bad? And there's what's his name? The kid's like, oh, I'm a millionaire, but it's not enough. It's not enough that I'm a millionaire.
paying her so-called friends bi-weekly instead of just upfront right after they complete their work, and says the only reason Wonder lived with her was because of a job offer and gave him a car solely out of the kindness of her heart, to only belittle him, showing pictures of the car being trashed and booted to all hell, portraying him as this dirty, irresponsible freeloader that doesn't appreciate anything given to him because she would show off the payments of the car and
sounds about right. So she's paying the car, but she stole it? Oh, shit.
revealing personal drama that just never needed to be brought up in the first place.
Trash was littered in the car. It contained dirty clothing, which consisted of, like, I think two.
Maybe the trash was a combined effort from everyone living in the house.
2 pairs of dirty boxers and like maybe 3 mismatched socks. There was also a huge crack that went across most of the windshield, and for some reason the glove box compartment in the front passenger seat was somehow broken.
Now you can say Wonder did the same by showing off her shithole of a home, but it kind of becomes inexcusable when she would begin to foam out the mouth, calling Wonder a disgrace to even portray her as this colossal chunky junkie, and says this photo is years old, taken in a spare room from where they first moved in.
I'm a supposed monster, and that, quote, my home is a mess, like hoarders bad. And just
it's not hoarders bad. Like they're like wounded exes. They're like, oh, I'm so sad. I'm so hurt. Woohoo. Woohoo.
What was the point of this, Wonder? Why would you even bother posting something like this except to humiliate me? This was a room that we told you we were using to move, and we let you know it was off limits to you.
Obviously, as we know now, she's such a trinket of trailer trash, and this was a desperate attempt to save the little credibility she knew she really had left with everybody. And Wonder would debunk this little bullet list of bullshit by first showing that the bed in the photograph Blair claimed to be a spare room was purchased in 2022, throwing
These guys are all connected, trust me. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
away the possibility of it being years ago. And furthermore, showing how Oz Media was the one who took the photos again by showing the house before and after Blair moved in, going from a house of sparkling gold to cups of fucking mold. Like, does this bitch spin around the hallways like the Tasmanian devil every time she gets done talking to herself on Twitter?
Conditions he was embarrassed by. Boxes, trash, cups of mold, all sent to me again 2 years after I left Colorado. And this is my proof that once more, I never set foot in that room, nor did I have malicious intent when I lived there. Blair...
Hey, why don't you clean it up, bro? You just leave it there, you're just as bad.
Embarrassed Oz, not me.
Wonder would reiterate the Christmas situation, saying how he did all the work and would even skip meals and other outings just to get videos done for Blair, going completely against the worthless failed use of sperm that she tried to portray him as.
On the audience and post a very scuffed video that would exhibit a lack of care for the content we were making, which was not ideal given we had just lost half our members. We delay the video, which ties in with the first issue as our Christmas Eve video, which would either get out the 26th or the 27th at the earliest due to our available editors. $1,000. Or we scrap the video, which leaves Blair out of money regardless, but now we have also wasted an entire trip visiting another state, and there are a bunch of expenses that can't qualify as a tax write-off. I'd like to add that no, Blair did not directly ask me to make this rework.
And Wonder would also cover his payment issues, saying that Blair's whole regimen of being bi-weekly is complete poppycock, showing one of the months that it took him 3 weeks to get paid instead of 2. The next point Blair brings up in her response is Wonder's mental health during the time of their friendship, saying how Wonder would always vent to her about his horrible roommate, saying where he lived, which was Austin, Texas, was hell, and that all of his family left him, basically Blair acting like she was the only thing he ever had left.
He would often tell both Oz Media and myself how
Well, when he doesn't have Blair, he says he's got nothing, he's penniless. Back here, it's like, he took his home, he took his stuff, he has nothing. So yeah, it's a true statement.
Living in Austin, Texas was a nightmare for him. He would often complain about his roommates being terrible people, his friends being mostly terrible people and unmotivated to do well in life, and how his car was always breaking down and how his channel was not going in the direction he wanted. And
Hey, that's one thing they have consistency in, is complaining.
then he talked about that
And he's wearing a mask. Why are these guys wearing masks?
last bit of family that he had moving away, and he was essentially alone.
However, that couldn't be further from the truth, because Wonder himself would later state in his video that he only ever lived with one singular roommate, but that roommate also being his best friend. And the only things he really ever complained to Blair about him was simple annoyances he felt at the time towards his friend, not him being a detriment to his life, as Blair claimed.
There's many great things about
If this is your evidence, dog, like, you're done.
this place, but it's for a very niche particular crowd of people, which I do not fall in line with that. As for my roommates, I only had one roommate, and he's one of my best friends who I would do literally anything for. Have I gotten a
even sabotage Blair for?
Annoyed with him? Yes. Who hasn't been annoyed with any friend in their life?
Blair would later go on to respond to Wonder deeming her a manipulative psycho by airing out his suicide note, which I'm not showing, and personal problems for the public to see, completely breach.
Yeah, he's so happy. His life is so good, he wants to kill himself.
The trust and privacy that Wonder had at the time, or at least thought he had, with her, and sort of uses this almost as a way to not take what he says seriously due to him being mentally ill.
Into personal details.
No, I don't take him seriously either. You guys all lost your credibility. You guys are done. It's all over. The Grim Reaper has come.
I was pretty horrified by what he had explained happened in his past. I was saddened by how he constantly talked about how bad his life was and how he felt like a failure. He said he felt alone, depressed, and uncertain of the future.
To say anything.
Why does this guy with 2.8 million subs need donations? Why does this guy need players' help? Why is his staff there? These things just don't connect unless he's a grifter and he's trying to take advantage of Blair and put her out of business. That's what the mafia does. The LGBTQ mafia.
Anything personal or anything, but Wonder has made me personally upset, so I'll continue to expose everything personal about him because I'm such a miserable melty milk bag of a human that can't bear the thought of other people not being miserable with me. There, sounded like you had a dick in your throat, barely able to talk, knowing how stupid you made yourself look, so I'll do it for
It takes one to know one.
you. Wonder would obviously express his emotions towards Blair just airing out something like that for the world to see in his own response videos, saying how crushed that left him to think she would stoop to that level to try to discredit someone.
Again, these were very private things I kept between you. Yes, I suffer from depression. A lot of people do, and oftentimes that can skew your view towards life itself.
So the guy with a weird view who's being helped is having a weird view, but apparently it's not weird now. You could trust him now.
The only time I ever really felt like a failure was when I constantly was compared via Social Blade, etc., and told how much better I could be doing if I did XYZ.
The last point I'll leave from Blair's response, and the most important one I think out of all this, which was a situation with the car that Blair gave to Wonder. She claims it was a gift that she and Oz bought for him for all the trouble he was going through at the moment, and something he
bought me a car.
agreed to enter into a rent-to-own contract with him, making it clear he had no contribution to the initial payment of the car.
On June 12, 2021, Oz Media and I collectively decided to take out a loan together in the amount of
So, this is the worst part. They bought him a $42,000 car.
$42,359.69. Additionally, I brought $28,346.79 in cash as a deposit. Wonder did not contribute to the deposit on the car.
This is a textbook case of narcissism. If a narcissist spends money on you, they want something from you, whether that be trust, a sense of imaginary entitlement that you owe them, or expect something even better back. And usually the gift they give is something they would typically want, hence which is why she insisted on giving Wonder this BMW, because she already has two sitting in her driveway. Blair would claim that she repossessed the car back after.
You work for Blair because everyone else you work for is worse. And now that she's caught on, realize you're a bum, you're trying to lash out. Oh, how dare you fire me? How dare you buy me a car that you stole from me?
Months of Wonder not paying towards his contract and having no proof of insurance, both of which Wonder disproves by explaining how he was never legally bound to anything and showing up that hoe flow for his insurance. Then says whenever he asked to see any of the paperwork he was legally bound to, he would see no response back.
Paperwork of the car.
And this guy loves showing his things for a second. So he's mad at Oz.
Of the car. This was to ensure I was obtaining an accurate account of the car's value so I could legally assure what I was paying for. I believe that any person in my position should have done this. It is the only right thing to do to make sure you legally know what you're paying. After this message, I never once got a response.
As for the conditions of the car, Blair would leave out in her video the fact that he was living in it due to her mental abuse and failed to show pictures of his belongings and possessions stuffed in the trunk and back seats, which we all knew she threw in the trash right after when she got home because she stole the car from Wonder in the dead of the night without any sudden warning.
Roughly 3 a.m., Blair sent me a text stating that
if he's sleeping in the car, how can she steal the car?
I had breached numerous contract violations and that she was in Texas to repossess the vehicle. It goes without saying I was asleep at this time, so obviously I did not see a message that was sent to me at 3 a.m. in the morning. Once I woke up and I saw the messages, I asked Blair for
He says he can't live in Florida, so that he's moving to LA where it's safer. My bet is that guy, he's gonna leave LA in a heartbeat.
an explanation as to how I breached my contract, to which I was ignored. However, Blair stated she would make arrangements for me to obtain my items. This never took place.
As for the little ass crack on the windshield, Wonder would explain that it was simply caused by a pebble due to a truck in front of him having the tire hit a pebble, and basically it wasn't his fault at all. It was something that happened by complete accident.
It wasn't my fault. Nothing's ever my fault.
And that pretty much wraps up everything that I at least thought was worth enough covering about her relevant to her current situation. She's been in so many past controversies that this shit would have been a Hobbit film with the amount of drama we could talk about this maniacal meddling manatee. As for the future for her channel, she's been running videos out the clock. She already found new mind puppets to control, but luckily her videos now can barely even crack 100,000 views, with her losing tens of thousands of subscribers each and every day. The only response she gave out so far was on Discord and Twitter, promising to put an end to all these false allegations and really—
And I'm here. I just put an end to your false allegations.
Showing that she's the hero in all this and just putting herself on the spotlight once again. I mean, I know the situation's on her, but like she's gonna try to prove herself to be a hero again when she's obviously the fuck not. That's like having a hurdle of bodybuilders.
Hey, she's human. Humans make mistakes. She took accountability. You, however, you're just grifting. You're trying to get money out of the suffering of others. Why don't you go get a job, bro? Do something productive. Go touch some grass.
Stand around King Arthur's sword, and all of a sudden an anorexic kid steps up to the plate saying he's got this. Like, no the fuck you don't, but she'll eventually realize that there is no coming out of this and quit, or at least I hope she does, for the sake of her sweatshop child slave she has edit her videos now. I'm aware I didn't speak too much.
Hey man, I'll be a sweatshop child worker too for that car. $42,000. Just put that in my pocket.
on the situation with Wonder and Blair's dog. Actually, matter of fact, not at all. And truth be told, that's only because I don't give a shit. It's a petty situation. If you know, then you know. Plus, there's also 8 other videos out there.
Petty means it's not eligible for crime. Petty implies none of this stuff actually matters. That he's just grifting.
That explain the situation like me. So if you want to know more, I highly recommend checking out the other channels covering this that have way more insight than
Yeah, all my friends, we're all friends. Like, don't get this wrong. They're all friends. They're all in it together. They all spent a large amount of money to buy all these bots, all these AIs, and they're trying to systematically attack Blair and destabilize her economy so that they can move in and take all the money for themselves.
than I do, and all the members of Sad Milk out there crawling at the bottom of the pyramid. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to slap a like before your dad slaps you, subscribe to hit my vibe, and make sure to follow all my socials, links in the description, especially my Instagram. 2 videos a week will return back. I had to make sure to get my facts right, so we had to throw down a few delays, but normal videos coming right back like they never left. And I will catch you all very soon.
Normal hate videos. I provide hate to the world. Okay, that guy was a bitch. At least CB2 was more of a man. He shows his actual face. We saw that, so let's see what Illuminaughtii has to say. That's what this one's
Illuminaughtii just got completely exposed. Now, Illuminaughtii is a fairly popular commentary channel with like 1.7 million subscribers. And recently, they would make this tweet calling out Legal Eagle, accusing him of plagiarizing her. However, Legal Eagle would respond by saying these effects that he apparently stole were effects that he's used for years. And even so, these are very common effects that many people on YouTube have used for years. Well, instead of like apologizing or
boys are not
Illuminaughtii just got
boys are not doing well in school. Teenage boys are not doing well in junior high. Men are not going to university, and if they do, they don't graduate. And more men are bailing entirely out of the entire sexual dynamic process as well. Not only not having relationships with women, but not having sex at all, not even with themselves. And that's becoming more and more widespread. It's part of the broad-scale demoralization of men. And so how does that start? Well, it starts
Jordan Peterson knows. Find her profile. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. These all must be Blair. That's called paranoia. Where is her profile? Okay, so 46, 46, 89, since they care about the numbers, 91, 73, 117, 1 million. Let's watch.
Hey everyone. Well, there's no really fun or interesting way to start this conversation. So, you guys know what you're here for, and I'm just going to jump into it the way I know how to. So I'm sure, as all of you know, many things have been said about me in the past week and a half-ish. And I'm someone who often doesn't speak my side of things, and that's something that's also been noted. Just for kind of full transparency in this, I'm going to be working from some of my notes that I've written to accomplish 2 main things. The first is mainly to keep me on track with the subject matter and off of tangents. I know I like to go off on tangents and talk about various topics all the time, but but this is not that time. The second reason is really just to keep my emotions in check. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about in the, most of this video, to be totally honest with you, are things kind of from the past. They involve old friends, people that I used to consider close friends and I used to trust and really enjoy spending time with. And kind of reopening a lot of these wounds is really painful. It's really uncomfortable, and it's not something I ever thought I would ever have to speak about, especially not in this kind of way. After a few days of self-reflection and really thinking about what I want to say and how I want to talk about these things, I think now is the right time.
It's good that you took your time. They're trying to bait out the worst in you. They're baiters. They're trying to make the situation worse than it really is so that they can try to get some money out of the poor and knowing people. They're trying to take advantage of the innocent.
To be perfectly honest, I'm feeling pretty vulnerable to have this conversation with so many people and so publicly, especially since some of the things that I'm going to talk about today are really personal and things in my private life that should have never become content fodder. So let me try something new today, and I'm going to address these issues. Now, before we get into debunking many false statements that have been made about me, I want to start with an apology. I have apologized privately to Legal Eagle the day after this incident occurred, though I have not been publicizing that until right now. Maybe this is something I should have said sooner, but I needed the time to think through the events that have preceded. And for those unaware, a short story. My editors came to me about how parts of a Legal Eagle video looked similar to our videos. And then there were messages and an email from one of Legal Eagle's editors asking for more
Right, sounds staged to me.
Information about how we do certain effects.
So Oz.
I looked at the compared images that were brought to me and I said, wow, that does look pretty similar, and I impulsively posted about it on Twitter. Truthfully, I should have looked into this more instead of just putting the information out there the second I had
Hey, sometimes just putting it out there is the fastest way to find the truth. Nothing wrong with finding the truth.
Gut reaction about it. I should have asked him what the emails were about, but I didn't, and I made a mistake, and plain and simple, I was wrong. So to Legal Eagle and team, I just want to reiterate that I messed up, and I'm sorry for any stress this may have caused you and of course to your team. I know I apologized privately and removed the tweets with that apology, and I'm now publicly sharing that information with all of you. And I want to extend that apology to my audience and to listeners who are disappointed in me for this, because I'm also disappointed in myself. It was a quick-drawn decision and it wasn't thought out. I promise to do better. Now, as we continue in this video, I do want to give you a heads up that there will be trigger warnings for various sections as needed. I also want to go ahead and let you know that I will be providing a public Google Drive containing any and all relevant information that I will address in this video, similar to how I provide a source document for every episode of mine. Let's start with the first accusation and go from there. After Legal Eagle responded in his tweets, there was another tweet that arose in tandem to this situation. And that tweet was made by another YouTuber called HBomberGuy. And this YouTuber is someone who also creates longer form content. As someone who creates this type of content and researches various topics, the main thing to keep in mind is the source material used. Things like articles, interviews, videos, documentaries, academic essays, and so on and so forth. As video essayists, this is a core concept to both Harris and myself. Before I get into the accusation itself, I want to address the topic of plagiarism. And that word has been tossed around a ton, and it's not something to be taken lightly. And I just want to take a minute to define this word. On screen are definitions for the word plagiarism as defined by Merriam-Webster, Dictionary.com, and the University of Oxford. I'm showing multiple sources defining plagiarism, but the overall definition is going to boil down to this. Plagiarism is to take someone else's idea as their own or to not credit the source.
I created this. What I'm doing isn't plagiarism, it's a fair use because it's for the public. I'm not claiming it as my own. I'm not telling you guys to go out and do things. This is just for educational purposes.
With that definition being clearly identified, let's go ahead and take a look at what Harris brought to the Twitter table. Harris posted this video saying, and I quote, "Personally, at Illuminaughtii, I would define plagiarism as something a bit more specific. For example, copying someone else's documentary directly into your script." End quote. However, in his own video, he shows where I'm audibly quoting a direct line from the documentary, and even visually you can see it on the screen with the quotation marks. Additionally, you can even see the dual ellipses on either end of that quote, indicating that more of that source was being cited. When you go to my sourcing page for this particular episode, you can also see that the documentary is listed as a source. It has been 3 years.
Oh, the truth hurts, guys.
Since I posted this episode, and I've been really grateful to be able to continually learn and grow with time. Since then, I've learned to be much more overt and obvious with citations, something that may not have been perfectly clear to me 3 years ago. I apologize for the oversight of not making that quote more clear. At the time of recording, it was really obvious to me that it was a citation of the documentary, especially in full context of that section of my video, because that section was wholly dedicated to Brian Deer's work. And for some clarification, I would like to provide both you and Harris with the script that I was working off of. It will be available in the Google Drive. While I believe emphasizing the key phrase of the quote about stopping injections on autistic children was, and still is, very important to point out, the quote should have been fully displayed on screen. This was certainly a poor editing choice, and it's an editing style that I no longer utilize, but it's most certainly not plagiarism. But with that being said, I still want to take accountability where it's needed, so I still would like to apologize for this citation not being made.
That's good. Saying sorry is what the strong do. None of these guys would say sorry. They're the victims.
More clear visually in that video. Harris, I am also someone who takes plagiarism seriously, and I do see where your criticism comes from.
Like these bots, they don't even watch the video. They just come on for 1 second, they say their message, and they leave. And one guy just writes them all. Like, all these bots, there's just like 100 guys trying to get money from good old Blair. It's like, we can make it stop for a price. We can make this all go away for the right price. Just wet our whistle with that money you got there, girl. Give me that money.
But unfortunately, this was simply an oversight on an editing error, but not an act of plagiarism. To me, at the time of the recording, the entire section was very obviously a citation, even as seen in the script. There was a visual change to break up the many words that would otherwise be just chunked onto the screen, which, looking back at it, despite not being so visually appealing to have tons of words on the screen, this should have been an opportunity to provide that full quote to avoid any confusion like this whatsoever. Based on the definition,
when you go looking for witches, you find witches.
Of the word plagiarism, his claims,
when you live like a hammer, everything looks like a nail,
are simply false. Not only is the source quoted on screen, it's also cited in the sources list, which again, I will provide in the Google Drive. As a more seasoned video essayist now, I've been lucky that I'm able to continue learning how to showcase facts and other relevant materials in an interesting and educational way. And I'm really excited that I get to continue doing that. I'd like to think that in the last 3 years, myself and my team have grown to create better content that is educational and entertaining, and this is clearly an example of how we have improved since that time. I have nothing but love for everyone on my team, from editors, writers, artists, and even some of the not so fun kind of clerical duties like payroll. I'm always going to have their back, even if sometimes things slip through the cracks. We're a team of people who make human mistakes. We're going to continue to improve content as the years continue, and we'll always be able to learn and improve from the past.
This is pretty good, not gonna lie. Oh, sad milk.
Before I address any one person individually, I want to kind of cover everything in a general and broader scope regarding Sad Milk. Sad Milk was a collaboration channel started by 6 friends in 2020. It was kind of essentially group Reddit readings and just looking at cringe things online and reacting to it. It was no big deal on the surface. This channel and this project was just meant.
They always want more. Give me more. I haven't had enough yet. I need more than everyone else.
To be something goofy, easy, and kind of cringy, but a shared channel that we could all get a kick out of. It was just supposed to be a bunch of friends hanging out, reacting to funny images, and just having a good time together. I mean, the channel name was literally called Sad Milk, so it wasn't really something that anyone was taking too seriously. Discussing Sad Milk now in current day is always a little bit bittersweet for me. It was a fun project among friends that turned sour. The issues I'm about to address cost me some of my closest friends at that time. When the Sad Milk channel was formed, I initially took the lead and I made the channel, I made the Discord, I got...
Oh, it's this guy. The weirdo.
My mods from my server to help run the new Discord. I hired and managed video editors to help us produce more content. I was the one who was sourcing the topics and files for each video, and I was the one who had set the schedules for recording too. The reality of the situation was this: with creators in different time zones, it was logistically pretty hard to get everyone together at one place in one time. We tried to do it organically multiple times, but unfortunately someone would always end up missing from the recordings. There's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into a YouTube channel, and I bore the brunt of it for this project. And it wasn't something that I was doing to have total control, as some members have suggested. I managed the schedules and the editors because it was just something that needed to be done. People weren't stepping up to the plate, and I did, and...
We already saw this one. We became profitable.
I ultimately bit off more than I could chew. It was a lot of work, if we're being honest, and I was beginning to burn out pretty quickly. Had I known how I would have been treated through this channel and afterwards, I never would have joined this project. Essentially, everyone in the group had 2 main responsibilities for Sad Milk. The first was that you had to show up to the scheduled recording, and the second was you had to pay your portion of the editor's fees as they arise. After the editors were paid, any earnings that were left in the channel were split into 6 equal pieces for each person. Since this was a project among friends, we all initially agreed to just split the earnings 6 ways, even though I was taking on some extra responsibilities. When it was time to pay the editors,
the leader does, they take on the brunt of it, but these guys have no respect. Look, she gives the whole statement. It's not obscured. Like all their messages are obscured. They're wondering where all the money is. Where did the money go?
I wasn't answered or told that they would just get it to me later. I had to do this at various points with a vast majority of the members of the group. They would eventually get around to reimbursing me only after I expressed in group meetings how I was upset that I have to do everything, and I also got stuck footing the bill too. What quickly transpired...
So they got paid, but they didn't fork up their share.
...was that members either couldn't or wouldn't reimburse me for the editors. For clarity's sake, I do want to disclose that we as a group later revised our agreement. Quickly transpired was that members
$300? Damn, son.
Either couldn't or wouldn't reimburse me for the editors. For clarity's sake, meetings how I was upset that I have to do everything, and I also got stuck footing the bill too. What quickly transpired was that members either couldn't or wouldn't reimburse me for the editors. For clarity's sake, I do want to disclose that we as a group later revised our agreement after paying all editors and creative freelancers that 5% of remaining earnings would go directly to me for the administrative work that I was doing. After that, the remaining earnings would then be split amongst the group evenly. Ultimately, the channel made very little, and it actually cost a lot more than we earned a majority of the time. Something the clique brought
costs a lot more for Blair, but to everyone else, it's a fortune. Like, to them, it's a lot. You could say it was profitable.
It was a lot of work, if we're being, and I ultimately bit off more.
Profitable. We made a lot of money.
And my friend's needs above my own. Reluctantly, I joined the conversation, and as I was angry and yelled in a meeting. We as a group later revised our agreement after paying all editors and creative freelancers that 5% of remaining earnings would go directly to me for the administrative work that I was doing. After that, the remaining earnings would then be split amongst the group evenly. Ultimately, the channel made very little, and it actually cost a lot more than we earned a majority of the time. Something the clique brought up in his Twitter thread was that I was angry and yelled in a meeting, but what he didn't share was the context of that meeting. A lot more than we earned a majority of the time. Something the clique brought up in his Twitter thread was that I was angry and yelled in a meeting, but what he didn't share was the context of that meeting. As I've previously stated, the scheduling and money issues had been an ongoing problem. In the meeting that he vaguely references on Twitter, this is what actually happened. I had become more and more frustrated about how I was doing all of the work, I was doing all of the maintenance, and then I was also having to financially foot the bill to the project. As I said, it was burning me out pretty quickly, and I was thinking about leaving the group. Ozmedia suggested that he try to run the meeting and I not attend, and I agreed. But One Topic and Click were very insistent that I be there, even though I said I was not ready to talk and I needed more time. So when I entered the call, I tried to let everyone know that I was uncomfortable with having this conversation and I was not ready to have it. Again, I would like to point out that at this point in time, these were still my friends. These were people that I liked and cared about. Letting your friends know, hey, I'm not okay right now. I'm really stressed and hurt. While you all get to stream, I still have to pick up the pieces to keep this channel going is a really difficult conversation to have. Before the meeting started, I was told that if I didn't show up, that they would not have the conversation with me and everything would just stagnate. So I tried to put the channel and my friends' needs above my own.
Sounds to me like they were trying to take advantage of you. That they all formed an alliance.
I joined the conversation, and as I was speaking,
we all worked together. We didn't get more money out of her. That's what it turned into. It turned into a feeding frenzy. These dogs have no loyalty.
One Topic talked over me, and out of frustration of this happening yet again.
This is what happens when weak people can't see the vision.
I raised my voice and
said, everyone for themselves. They'll eat each other.
Said, can you shut up and let me talk for once? And he left the call, and that's the last time I ever spoke with him. Looking back at it now, I should not have spoken to my friend like that. I felt that I wasn't given time to process and think things through, and in process of, emotion vomit came out. One Topic, I would like to apologize for that, this time publicly. Clearly, this was a situation that affected all of us very deeply and personally, and this was an exciting idea, but one that never really took off the way I think we thought it could. To all of the members of Sad Milk, I just want to say that I'm very sorry that I caused you stress throughout this project.
So responsible.
I want to take a couple minutes to bring up the Click and the many claims that he made on Twitter recently. The Click brings up how, as he puts it, a A very convenient series of videos resurfaced with him saying some not so savory things after he left Sad Milk. His old videos, as he puts it, aged like milk. They did. I'm not going to dive into it further. The information's out there if you so choose to look. And as Click stated, those videos are 11 to 14 years old. And to be perfectly clear here, those videos are not any of the reasons as to why we split ways in Sad Milk, as Click tries.
All these people, they want Blair's money and want her success for themselves. Give me that money. That's what it all comes back to, is money.
To insinuate. Even back in 2020, I had stated that those videos had nothing to do with the ending of Sad Milk. I was actually unaware of those videos at the time of our friendship, but had I been aware of them, that friendship would have likely ended sooner. Unfortunately, when those videos surfaced, it wasn't really all that shocking to me, as Oz Media and I had actually talked about how Click had been using the R slur while we played games together. I thought, or I wanted to assume, that I had misheard, but Oz said that he was uncomfortable with it and said something, but the language continued. Click, you are right. Those videos in question are old, and at this point, they're kind of irrelevant. People can learn and people can change. That being said, I
don't think they learned or changed.
At the time in 2020, Click was still using horrifying language and slurs that have long been deemed unacceptable. I'd now like to address the Click's claims that I had any involvement in trying to gain control of his Discord server by, as
I'd want to fire them too if they had kid videos.
He says, tossing around accusations at staff. Because unfortunately, there were some truly sinister things occurring in the Click's Discord that were brought to my attention. For this next section, I would like to provide a trigger warning. There will be mentions of explicit sexual language, mentions of pedophilia, graphic imagery, and inappropriate behavior around minors. Before I go any further into this, I want
this is why they're mad.
to mention that there's going to be resources in my description box regarding what I'm about to discuss.
So, this happened, right? The pedophiles, and then they call this guy to come help them. Come help us, Daddy.
Now, I do think it's relevant to bring up that in 2019, the Click's channel was terminated by YouTube for sexual content. At the time, a few YouTubers, including myself and Oz Media, band together to help reinstate Click's channel. Oz spoke to his MCN representative, and I spoke with YouTube directly. This is something that I now look back on with so much regret. Had I known at the time what was going on behind the scenes, I never would have participated in helping Click with his channel. Allow me to explain the situation a little bit. The Click and I had shared Discord moderators around the time of Sad Milk being created. Due to the Click's inaction, our shared moderators had brought a situation in his server to my attention, a situation involving pedophilia. In Click's Discord, there was a 19-year-old bragging about a 12-year-old that he was claiming to be involved with. A moderator reached out to get more information on this situation. This 19-year-old then reiterates, and I am directly quoting this here, "I talked with my therapist about it, even too, and he told me as long as I don't touch her, it's okay." Click and his team did not pursue any immediate action to ban, restrict, or report this individual. So those shared mods came to me, and they told me that they were uncomfortable. So we used this individual's ID number and we banned them from the Sad Milk server and from my server, and we reported them to Discord's trust and safety team, who we hope did pursue this further. Then I went to contact...
They didn't. Let's be real here. Discord didn't do anything.
Contact Click to see what was going on, and it was mainly because I didn't want to believe that he would blow off someone clearly discussing such an inappropriate relationship. In fact, this was right off the heels of one of his admins sharing pornographic content to people that they knew were minors. One thing that I would like to point out here is how these users were pushing pornographic material to a minor who explicitly states that their parent is in the room with them, so they were hiding their phone. I would like to point out that a common tactic for abusers who are attempting to groom children is that they expose them to pornography and other sexual content in an attempt to desensitize the child. I'll provide Rain's page on grooming for further information. And if you're a child currently in a similar situation, I urge you to speak to a trusted adult or authorities.
I'm an adult and an authority.
And again, resources will be provided below. Having to relook at these messages again still makes my stomach turn, even 3 years later. When Click didn't initially take action, I switched tactics with him and I called One Topic, who was and still is to my
Such a good pictures. Like, you can see the whole thing right over here. It's nothing cut out like these other guys. They cutting out the conversation so you can see what they want you to see. This is good work here, Blair.
my understanding, one of the Click's closest friends on social media. I got into a call with both of them and I shared these files with them. And One Topic opened the files, he was horrified, and he said, and I quote, "I've read one and I don't want access to those screenshots." It was after this conversation that Click took action and reported and removed that individual from his server. I really wouldn't lightly make accusations like this unless I had seen them for myself. And let me be abundantly clear here, I am not trying to accuse the Click of pedophilia, nor do I have any reason.
Oh, but I am. That's the difference. I'm a big boy. I can handle pedos.
To believe that he could be a pedophile. However, he cultivated an environment that was a breeding ground for inappropriate.
In jail, blacks walk with blacks. Mexicans walk with Mexicans. Whites walk with whites. Pedos walk with pedos.
Behavior with minors to occur, and that's exactly what happened. Having our shared moderators approach me in my server about this very serious situation in his server was extremely uncomfortable, but something the moderation team felt needed action that was not being taken. Furthermore, referring to these shared moderators that we had as spies, as he said on Twitter, it only dismisses the fact
spying on their pedophilia.
That he allowed this sexually explicit language to occur around minors. He referred to them as spies, which only shows that he didn't really see any issue with the state of his server.
True.
Mark, I'm going to address you directly here. On your Discord server that had, and likely still has, minors present, you as an adult need to do the right thing and actually pay attention to what
my server says adults only.
Goes down in your server, or ensure a team will take action against inappropriate behavior. I am sorry to those minors who were spoken to in such an inappropriate way. You were, and some of you likely are, still children. Adults should not be having sexually charged conversations with you or sharing sexually explicit photos with you. This is and always has been unacceptable. I will be providing links in the description box for a few resources for anyone who has been negatively impacted by these events. I did what I could, but I wish I could have done more, and I wish that the Click had more accountability of his own server. I also hope that since my falling out with Click, that he has learned from his past errors and worked to better himself. I hope that he and his current moderation team are holding themselves to a higher standard. The past 3 years have been challenging to all of us, and I think it's safe to say that living through a global pandemic has changed us in one way or another. Click, I hope you have learned to not tolerate such behavior in your server. I hope that you have learned from this and that you'll continue to strive to do better. I truly regret
When you live with moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, your day can be full of...
Before anyone says it's sensitive, you're just milking Illuminati, you're just trying to get as much view subscribers as possible, and my response to that is, isn't everyone? Isn't that the whole point of YouTube? And on top of that, I get to entertain you guys, I get to keep you guys up to date with the newest drama, not only Illuminati wise, but about pretty much every single corner of the internet. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. With that said, so a few hours ago, I noticed that Wonderstruck followed me on Twitter, and I noticed that yesterday he dropped this post on Twitter and it says, "Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. As many of you know by now, during this ongoing situation, I received a cease and desist demanding I remove my voice. Today, I have started a GoFundMe for anyone who wishes to aid legally in this matter I intend to fight." Thankfully, the GoFundMe is doing great. In about 2 days, he's raised almost $12,000. And at the end of this video, I do intend to donate. If you have $1 to spare, $2 to spare, I highly recommend you donate. Because I know that if this was me, in this situation when I'm trying to speak out against someone who's been so horrible to me, I will be pretty upset if I didn't have the funds. Now, once again, thankfully, this has raised close to $12,000, which is great. But if you're gonna go to court, you're gonna need a lot more. You're gonna need 20, 25,000. And this is Illuminati picking on the person who has the least amount of money, which, if you're still debating whether Illuminati was a good or bad person, I think this pretty much settles it. Hi, my name is Wonder. I, as well as my former colleagues, have been involved with this ongoing situation between us and another creator, that being Blair. During this situation, I made a response to refute claims made by said creator alongside verifying my own accounts I provided. That was until 3 days ago when I received a cease and desist letter demanding that legal action would be taken against me if I did not remove my response and Twitter threads. As many of you are aware, a cease and desist letter is a legal matter, which means the situation has grown and I intend to fight, which is a W, because this is not only going to affect him, it's also going to affect the future. What if next time I make a video on someone, they don't like it, they send me a cease and desist letter, and now I have to pay $20,000 to $25,000 to fight it, right? Once again, this is Blair being a bully and going after someone who doesn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to blow on lawyer fees. While on the other hand, Blair has a shit ton of money. GoFundMe is going to be pinned in the comment and on the description of this video. Legal fees come with expenses. Expenses I'm willing to pay to have my voice heard along with others who have spoken out. Please do not feel pressure to donate. Your well-being / finances, I insist, must come first. Yeah, only help if you can. I don't want anyone to go in debt here or go homeless, giving $10 and now they can't eat for the rest of the week. Like, no, please, only if you have money to spare. Then he says whatever money is left over once everything's said and done, he's going to donate it to charity, which I think is pretty awesome of him. Once again, to clarify, any funds received will be sent directly to the retainer for legal fees. This guy's not going to steal your money. He's not going to take those $12,000-$15,000 that he's going to make and just run away. It's just crazy to me how this got out of control. How Illuminaughtii brought all of this upon herself. And I haven't checked the Illuminaughtii channel in a hot minute. I want to see how it's doing. I want to see if her plan of ignoring everything is working, and nope. Her newest video got 22,000 views in 13 hours. She's struggling. The money's drying up, which I'm celebrating. And hopefully she gets her channel taken down. I will be popping champagne with anyone else who wants to celebrate. So if you want to celebrate, make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitter and Instagram. No one's watching her shit anymore. I don't see her channel coming back from this. It'll be extremely difficult. I don't see it. Things don't seem to be slowing down. If anything, things are just getting more heated and worse, which is crazy. This is one of the biggest downfalls I have ever seen in my whole YouTube career, and I've been here for a minute. And even before I started making videos back in 2008, 2009, I was there, okay? I was there when all the YouTubers came and went. I've seen people come and go. And this moment, the Illuminaughtii situation definitely stands out more than the Creepshow art. Number one is because Illuminaughtii is a much bigger creator than Creepshow art ever was. On top of that, people expose Creepshow art. But in this situation, Illuminaughtii pretty much grabbed the gun and pointed it at herself. Every single time this woman uploads, she loses subscribers. I read the comments and a lot of people say, well, thank God. Thank you for reminding me to unsubscribe from your channel. This could have been avoided with a heartfelt apology. You could have cried. You could have grabbed your little cat or dog, whatever the fuck you have, an iguana. You could have cried and said, guys, I'm sorry. And most people sadly would have bought it, but no, you just keep burying yourself more and more and more. It's like, Jesus Christ, you have no one that tells you, dude, please stop talking. Once you get lawyers involved into YouTube drama, it's game over. You lost, and it's just ridiculous. And I hope this forever haunts Illuminaughtii. Someone who took advantage of Wonderstruck. Always think of that whenever you hear her voice. She's an abusive manipulator who deserves nothing but the worst. Like I said at the start of the video, I'm going to be donating a few dollars here. Every dollar helps. Okay, here we are. Time to donate. Let's hope it goes through and I'm not homeless. And there it is. And this is the email. So no one accuses me of faking donations. This guy's just trying to pretend to be a good person. Sensitive's a liar. Sensitive exposed in 4K. Just so we're all...
Hey guys, quick little update from Twitter. Blair, aka Illuminaughtii, just sent me a cease and desist for speaking out against her abuse. I will not be silenced, says Wonderstruck YouTube. If you jump over to Illuminauti's Twitter, she says, hey everybody, I'm fully aware of the recent false allegations that have surfaced. I want to take a moment to publicly state that I am taking these allegations seriously and committed to rectifying the situation promptly and appropriately. Thank you for those who are standing by me during this challenging time. I will not allow these false allegations to be weaponized as a way to silence my voice. I appreciate your patience and understanding during this challenging time. I have dedicated to upholding my channel's values, delivering on our commitments. I am confident that the truth will prevail. Sincerely, Blair's on. Illuminaughtii here is being absolutely ridiculous, and it's honestly laughable that she would even attempt to do this, considering that she's the one who broke the quote-unquote NDA and started blasting him to begin with. In the first place, he's allowed to defend himself. Illuminaughtii, you're being an absolute moronic idiot. Log off, you're a moron.
Ever being friends with you. And I hope that I can finally close the door on that chapter in my life. I want nothing to do with you, and I can only hope that I will no longer be associated with you after all of this. When it comes to discussing Wonderstruck, his actions are some of the most confusing I've had to deal with. I'm going to address his concerns, though a lot of it is fairly tricky since he hinges his accusations on anecdotal commentary. In responding to his baseless claims, I will provide evidence as necessary, as well as point out when things I mention are anecdotal, so I completely understand if you choose to dismiss my anecdotal commentary as it arises. His thread on Twitter makes many claims about who I am as a person and how I've treated him. I hope to come at this with a level head and a very thorough explanation of events. With that being said, let's start with Wonder's accusation of wage theft. That's a big one, and it's important. I talk often about how paying your people is important, so I know how ironic it must look to have that accusation thrown back at me. To begin, let me explain Wonder's employment history with me. During Sad Milk, all of us were contractors to that channel. We were paid as contractors so we could handle taxes in our respective countries on our own, as not all members were American citizens. As many of you are aware, video editing is largely considered gig work. And in the industry, most folks are contractors and work on a variety of projects for different clients at the same time. During December 2020, like all of the members of Sad Milk, Wonder was considered a contractor. On December 24th, 2020 at 5:39 a.m., I received a message from Wonder letting me know that he took a shot at reworking a video that had already been edited by a different contractor. I want to clarify. I did not ask him to do this. This was something he did of his own accord. I responded to him, letting him know that his edits would go live. At 1 p.m. on December 24th, 2020. I don't want to claim to know what goes on in Wonder's personal life, but claiming that he missed Christmas with his brother and father, I just don't know how that's possible when the video was finalized early morning on Christmas Eve. And Wonder, I do want to thank you again, as I previously had verbally done so, for editing that video. It was great to have a video go live the day before Christmas. As for his claim that he didn't get paid for his work for more than half a month, I would like to let everyone know that Sad Milk's payroll was on a bi-weekly schedule. That simply means that there is a payment every 2 weeks, which is essentially half of a month. This is something that I have continued within my own channel to this day. Both salaried and contracted employees are paid every 2 weeks, and to further add to that, most companies, at least in the US, pay on a bi-weekly schedule, so this is not anything unusual or uncommon. To continue the discussion of his employment with me, I will have to give some much needed context. For this section, I will be providing screenshots where applicable, but some of this is anecdotal, as much of our conversations were either over voice calls or in person. Further corroboration of the anecdotal evidence will be provided in the Google Drive. Wonder and I were still friends throughout the end of Sad Milk in 2020 as well as into 2021. During this time, he would often tell both Oz Media and myself how living in Austin, Texas was a nightmare for him. He would often complain about his roommates being terrible people, his friends being mostly terrible people and unmotivated to do well in life, and how his car was always breaking down and how his channel was not going in the direction he wanted. And then he talked about that last bit of family that he had moving away and he was essentially alone. I won't speak on behalf of Oz, but I know I was moved by Wonder's stories. Without going into personal details, I was pretty horrified by what he had explained happened in his past. I was saddened by how he constantly talked about how bad his life was and how he felt like a failure. He said he felt alone, depressed, and uncertain of the future. And at that point, I knew I wanted to help him in whatever way I could. At the end of 2020, I paid for his tickets to visit Oz and me in Colorado. During this trip, we discussed the possibility of Wonder moving out to Colorado due to his discontent with his life in Texas. Oz Media and I had just moved into his newly purchased home in April 2021, and he decided to welcome Wonder into his house. Unless Oz Media was doing so without my understanding, Wonder was not charged any rent, utilities, or internet. respect for sharing our living space. Later in May 2021, we welcomed Wonder into the house. Oz even personally drove down to Texas to get Wonder and his dog, James. I want to explain my perspective a little bit here. At this point, I was finally starting to feel comfortable with my channel, and I felt that I was in a good position to be able to help somebody out and truly change the lives of one of my close friends. I was in what I felt was a privileged position, and I wanted to share that with someone I cared about and wanted to see succeed. With that in mind, I decided to hire Wonder to do some editing work for my channel, and now we can get back to the continuation of discussing Wonder's employment. Wonder was hired on June 7th, 2021, and was salaried at $50,000 a year. To be frank, I just really wanted him to have an easier job so that he could focus on his personal channel, as he had told me numerous times that was his ultimate goal. His only task was to edit short clips from any live streams that I did so that I could post them onto my secondary channel, Illuminaughtii. In addition to his salary, he received all benefits that I have for all of my salaried employees, which include a 401k, full health insurance, and an internal benefit I created for my team called an LSA. The LSA stands for a lifestyle spending account, and it's essentially more money to put on the table if you as an employee want it. It allows you to submit receipts for things that you've purchased, and I've seen things like groceries, pet supplies, books, new tires for cars, massages, mortgage payments, and so much more. And essentially, I'll reimburse those into more income. During his employment, he never took advantage of any of the benefits that were made available to him. The content for Wonder to edit was dependent on me being able to live stream. During this time, I unfortunately only had 2 streams for him to work on, which Wonder would have been able to produce about 4 videos from. Wonder did not meet the deadlines for either stream. Despite this, I kept him on payroll. I continued his pay, even though no work had ever been completed. Although there was only a minuscule amount of work for Wonder to do, he still managed to act up within company spaces. He made inappropriate comments on forms that were visible to other employees, he didn't complete tasks that were assigned to him, and he failed to follow company protocol. I have a strict policy regarding formal disciplines, and within his short time of working with me, he had already met the criteria for termination. Now, let's move on to the legalities that Wonder brought up in regards to how he claims that he ended up with no car, barely any clothing, no money, and no home, which leads me to one of the stupidest mistakes of my life. After repeatedly hearing Wonder say how desperately he needed a car, and after believing what he said about how miserable he was, I decided to try and help my friend in a way that I now realize was pretty idiotic. I look back at this decision with regret and embarrassment. This part will get a little nitty-gritty with the details, but I believe I need to fully flesh out all of the information to give you the full picture. After many in-depth discussions with Wonder, I made the decision to purchase a vehicle that he had already agreed to enter into a rent-to-own contract with said vehicle. On June 12, 2021, Oz Media and I collectively decided to take out a loan together in the amount of $42,359.69. Additionally, I brought $28,346.79 in cash as a deposit. Wonder did not contribute to the deposit on the car. With this rent-to-own contract, I agreed to only charge Wonder the cost of the loan and not the full value of the car itself, meaning within a 24-month period, he would have only paid $14,120.12 for a car that, when purchased, went for a grand total of $61,386.23. And let me be clear here. Aside from him accepting my job offer, this was the only legal documentation between the two of us. I will have all of the stipulations of our rent-to-own agreement on the screen now, but just know that the most important thing was that after 2 years of consecutive car payments and following all of the stipulations, the vehicle title would be transferred over to Wonder. With the amount that we put into the car, as well as payments on the car that I continued to make monthly, he would own the car outright with no lingering auto debt after that 24-month period. In a DM with me, Wonder later told me that if he hadn't accepted my job offer and my rent-to-own agreement, that he would still have an apartment, a car, and close to $10,000 in his bank account. I'd like to reiterate that unless Oz was charging rent without my knowledge, Wonder was living rent-free while earning $1,923.08 every other week, and would have to pay only $588.34 once a month. I don't claim to know the ins and outs of his finances whatsoever, and I very much was not involved with what he was doing with his bank accounts, but I fail to see how I could possibly cost him $10,000. In reality, the agreement I made with Wonder would have me lose $47,266.11. And again, looking back at this, I feel extremely foolish for ever even agreeing to such an arrangement. There were 2 outstanding instances that voided our agreement and constituted the repossession of my vehicle. The first was the proof of insurance that Wonder never provided. Insurance that is something federally required of any vehicle on the road in the United States. The second infraction on our agreement occurred when Wonderstruck left the state of Colorado to go back to Austin, Texas. You can clearly see these stipulations in the document on the screen right now. Due to multiple defaults by Wonder in our contract, I felt that I had no choice but to repossess the vehicle, which was my property because I am the one who owned it. When I landed in Austin, Texas, I called the non-emergency Austin PD 311 number to explain the situation to them. I told them that I had all of my title documents on me, I had the extra key, I had my insurance cards for the vehicle, and I asked them how I should proceed. They told me they were unconcerned as I was well within my legal right to collect my own property. They furthermore offered me a police escort for the repossession if I wasn't able to collect the car on my own. So on July 29th, 2021, I was able to get a hold of my vehicle and I took back my property. I would like to take a moment to bring up the condition of the vehicle upon its repossession. Within 1 month of using the vehicle, the car was visibly soiled, trash was littered in the car, it contained dirty clothing which consisted of I think 2 pairs of dirty boxers and maybe 3 mismatched socks. There was also a huge crack that went across most of the windshield, and for some reason the glove box compartment in the front passenger seat was somehow broken. The state of the vehicle was shocking, to be honest, but at this point I was just happy to have my car back and know that it couldn't be damaged any further. And Oz, I want to thank you again for helping me throughout this entire situation. You knew better than anyone how much this situation affected the both of us, and I can't express how much your support meant and continues to mean to me. I know he yelled and screamed extensively at both of us. You didn't deserve that, and I didn't either, but I'm still sorry that this hurt you too. I just want to give a quick trigger warning here for the mention of suicide and suicidal intention. After the car was back in my possession on the 29th of July, Oz and I received numerous messages from Wonder, which will be available in the Google Drive. What I specifically would like to highlight is that he insinuated that he had intention to and was taking action to arm himself to end his life. In a message directly with me, he explicitly told me that, quote, I was legit trying to get into my dad's gun cabinet to fucking kill myself. Either way, out of concern, I called the Austin Police Department non-emergency line to ask for a wellness check. And when I explained to the operator what was the situation at hand, they immediately transferred me to the 911 dispatcher. I then read the messages to them, and I gave the 911 operator the last known place of his residence in Texas, which was his dad's house, to perform a wellness check. The operator then told me not to arrange anything unless the police force is present. In his messages, Wonder states that he received a call from his therapist, which ultimately pulled him out of his intended plan. And let's take a moment to discuss the therapist. During his time in Colorado, he expressed that he wanted to seek therapy, and I think that's a fantastic decision. To help him with his process, I messaged my old therapist, who I did a lot of EMDR therapy with, and helped me immensely. On screen is me reaching out to her to see if she was accepting any new clients. Confidential details are going to be censored in order to keep Wonder's privacy and integrity. Looking back, I probably shouldn't have recommended a therapist who was so life-changing for me to somebody else. Therapy is a continual journey. You can come in and out as needed. And unfortunately, after I recommended Wonder to this therapist, there began a conflict of interest, and I could no longer in good conscience see her for her services. Wonder, I am so incredibly sorry that I unintentionally created a conflict of interest between the two of us in regards to this therapist. I did not mean to make that an issue between us at all. When Wonder arrived in Colorado, to say he packed lightly would be a bit of an understatement. He arrived with barely any clothing, no food for his dog, not even a collar for his dog, just a bandana. As Wonder mentions on Twitter, that short amount of time we lived together was absolutely a nightmare. The tension began with our dogs and his unwillingness to help ease the situation between our pets. I did everything I thought of at the time to introduce James and Casper in a way that facilitated a good relationship between the dogs. They met on neutral ground at a dog park and only had supervised play at the house. Wonder did not want to facilitate the dog play, so this really only happened under mine and Oz's supervision. And when both myself and Oz would leave the house and Wonder would stay home, he has multiple times locked Casper away in an empty room while James got free roam over the entire house. I don't want to claim that I'm any sort of dog specialist, but I do know that James was the new dog in this house that Casper had already been living in. And dogs are territorial by nature, that this was Casper's house and now suddenly he was being locked away. Additionally, James had multiple accidents in the home and Wonder would not clean them. It was Oz who ended up taking on that responsibility. During Wonder's stay in Colorado, his actions and inactions regarding the care of his dog James were a main cause of tension in the house. Not only did it seem like James was receiving inadequate care due to the lack of identification with a collar, lack of food, lack of toys, and more, but Wonder was unwilling to do his part as a pet owner to keep the peace between the dogs too. Wonder's lack of responsibility led to multiple incidents in addition to what I've previously mentioned. Firstly, James bit Casper, and bit his ear so hard that Casper bled. At this point, I took Casper to live with my sister as I no longer felt comfortable having Casper alone in the house with Wonder and James. I reached out to my good friend who's also a dog trainer to see if he could help help me with the situation. The second incident occurred on June 24th, 2021. On the night of the 23rd, Oz and Wonder went out together. I was exhausted, and so before they both left, I let them know that I was going to bed, which is exactly what I did. I was woken up at 2:30 in the morning by Oz because Wonder was panicking because James was gone. Wonder admitted that he took James outside to go potty, then having forgotten he had done so, he left James outside while Wonder left the house with Oz. That means that he left his own dog outside unsupervised for hours on end in the middle of the night. If I was aware that James was outside unsupervised, I would have done everything to ensure his safety and brought him back inside. There was unfortunately nothing I could do as I was already downstairs in my room sleeping by the time this was all unfolding. When I was woken up by Oz, I got on the Nextdoor app and I immediately made a post to try and locate James. I got a response around 10 a.m. the next day with a call from someone who had thankfully located James. The only evidence I have of this series of events is photos of James that Wonder sent to me at 3:05 in the morning on June 24th because I needed some photos to post on Nextdoor. As for the photo that Wonder posted claiming that I live in a hoarder home, I want to clarify that as previously stated, Oz and I had only started moving into the home around mid-April 2021. I still had my room from a shared lease with multiple roommates until June 1st. During Wonder's stay, I was still in the process of moving in and unpacking. Furthermore, the photo he shows is a photo of a room that wasn't lived in by anyone in the house, and it was being used as a temporary storage and unpacking site while everyone was moving in. To further exemplify this, I would like to show you some photos I have of Casper in my room from that same time. And I would like to highlight a couple things, which I feel this is very nitpicky, but because this was brought up in such a manner, I feel that this is kind of the way to dispel this. And again, normally I wouldn't point out small things like this, but I really feel as I need to. If you go ahead and look at the sheets on the bed, it's not the same ones as the one that are on the floor in the photo he took. At the time, Colorado is still very cold in April, and I had a full goose down comforter on the bed. And as you can see with photos of literally Casper's Instagram with the tagged dates on it below as well, you can see that my bed also, albeit a bit gaudy, has a silver headboard with little little crystals and mirrors and silver tuffeting. I feel the need to point out these minor details since the out of context photos of the house being moved into are being used as a way to show that I'm a supposed monster and that, quote, my home is a mess, like hoarders bad. And just, what was the point of this, Wonder? Why would you even bother posting something like this except to humiliate me? This was a room that we told you we were using to move, and we let you know it was off limits to you. That photo alone shows your consistent lack of respect for Oz's and my boundaries. And Wonder, I am sorry that I was ever friends with you. My short involvement in your life clearly caused you so much harm and emotional distress. And I never want that for any of my friends, past or present. And for that, I again want to apologize. I hope you find peace. This final section and this final person will be the hardest for me to address, so I plan on keeping this brief. Oz, you were right. I am afraid of looking stupid and weak online, and yet I am those things right now. You've been with me through a lot of really intense and personal situations in my life. You were there throughout the entire process of my mom's cancer diagnosis, her various treatments, and hospitalizations. And I know there were many times when I had to run out the door suddenly because there was a crash cart in her room and they didn't know if she was going to make it. And you said you'd stay at the house and watch Casper so I could go to my mom. You were there for Casper's various hospitalizations when he would get sick throughout the years, and you helped me through a very difficult surgery recovery. I just want to say thank you for always being my support through all of my ups and downs. I know that a lot of these personal situations in my life left me very thin and sometimes irritable, and I want to say thank you for supporting me through it and talking me through some really hard times. Your support and your friendship meant more to me than I think you'll probably ever know. I'm gonna miss all the fun things we used to do, eating way too much cheese at the melting pot. I'll miss you teaching me how to play Command and Conquer and playing it, and how you've always obviously been Casper's BFF, and you know how Casper is not afraid of Oswaldo. We're both gonna miss you a lot. The truth is, like we've privately discussed before,
I always hoped that we'd be able to reconnect again in the future and mend our friendship. I meant that when I said it to you, and I believed you when you said it back. Even after everything that's happened, you were the one person that I always thought we could just get it and pick back up where we left. And unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed. Oz, I miss the friend you were to me, but I think this makes it clear that we finally need to cut all ties. So, to finish out this very difficult video for me, I want to once again just say I take accountability for my actions. There are absolutely some stupid and dumb things that I did, and sometimes I do react a bit impulsively, and that does tend to backfire on me. I am disappointed in my behavior, and I hope that I can learn from all of this. I want to own up to my faults and take responsibility for my actions. Furthermore, I want to take responsibility for my own involvement with a crowd I am happy to no longer associate with. I did make bad decisions, I made bad friends, and there will forever be a bad taste in my mouth regarding some of the individuals I've spoken about today. But finally, I want to apologize to my audience. I owe you better than this, and you deserve more from me. I let you down, and I am sorry. I hope that in time you can see that I mean everything that I've said here today, and I am so excited to be able to prove you right.
As I'm in the midst of applying for residency right now, wish me luck, Grammarly.
No. So far, it looks like she's innocent. We got anything newer? Let's check. Any updates? Anything we didn't cover? Oh, Femboy tears Illuminaughtii apart.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the show. So, obviously, you've already read the title, I'm sure, unless you're illiterate, of course. So yeah, we are gonna be, in fact, talking about none other than Illuminaughtii. And for those of you who are familiar with my content, you already know that, let's just say, I'm not the biggest fan of this individual, let's just say. Now, for those of you who are new here, I always make sure to leave timestamps in the description below, so if you want to skip around to whatever part, the video is split into little sections, I guess, to make it more digestible, and, you know, easier to keep track of if you want to watch it in multiple sittings, which is understandable, because it is long-form content after all. Or you can just watch the entire thing. I know for sure that's what I would do. But yes,
like me.
Hello there, Pancake Panic, welcome to the stream. General Kenobi, you are a bold one. Hey, how are you doing? I am doing very well today. Joseph Smith, how are you doing? Mr. Smith, how are you doing today? You better be doing well. If you're not doing well, you better believe I'm gonna be very angry. Hello, old memes. Welcome to the stream. What is this, the 10th Illuminaughtii stream? No. Technically, it isn't the 10th. I think it's the, like the 6th or the 7th or something like that. But yeah. Yeah, it's, pretty crazy, huh? You know, crazy how the YouTube algorithm works. You know, it just so happens to line up with the videos I...
It's crazy how much money they're making off of this. So crazy that they all want a piece of the cake. I want money, you want money, we're all here for money. We're all getting paid from this. Give me that money. It's not a necessity. Like Elon Musk was saying, if you lose your dignity in your life, what good is money? Like it's a long spiral, and you fall down it, and you can never get back up. That's what's happening to these people. Let's skip past his intro.
Without further ado, let's watch One Topic's video on the matter.
He's a
slash
fanboy,
topic.
so I'm allowed to
Apparently
call
this
him
is
a
a
boy.
googly eyes on the mic kind of moment. Would a microphone have its eyes on like this or like this?
There's
I guess
the
it
blue-haired
depends.
guy.
Yeah, okay. There we go. I'm just going to be riffing off the cuff for a while, so don't expect...
That's probably the worst way you could like, why did you do it diagonally? Okay? If you're gonna have it be where it's like, okay, it's in terms of like, you know, the mic, it's lined up based on what the, you know, like the angle of the mic rather than the camera. You gotta, it would have to, because look at
being targeted. It made me uncomfortable to hear words or intentions put in my mouth regarding the group call whose framing the video does not comport with reality. The retelling of how our group conversation went and using it as a way to frame the situation as click not actioning soon enough or responding timely is simply...
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I have to watch nasty content that you normally watch right now, and it's like destroying my brain cells. You know, like that vampire guy? All these guys are those vampire guys. They're like, oh, I can't wait to beat up this woman so I can make some money jerking each other off. Yeah, that's pornography. It's when they all gangbang one person while they're down. It's a form of it.
we already covered this. It's like, what did you want him to do? Did you want him to, like, be monitoring his Discord server, you know, 24/7? Because obviously, it's like, I just don't understand how Illuminaughtii...
I don't understand how they had pedophiles on his server. Yeah. And they're complaining that they stopped the pedophiles. They're like, oh, we can't have pedophiles on the server. You monsters. Yeah, there's something wrong with pedophiles, and there's something wrong with these people, because they're all trying to defend the pedophiles. That's the problem. They're like, oh, don't mess with that pedophile. He's one of us. He's our pedophile. Yeah, they think they're the big guys defending pedophilia. They think they can get away with it. That's the thing, though. That's why I'm here. I'm like, oh, this guy right here, he's a pedophile. Yeah, he loves children. Yeah, he wants to have sex with the children.
Thought that looked good in her own video. Like, she put that there, and you know,
because that's what this all is about, really. It's about them targeting pedophiles, and this is the pedophiles reacting. Yeah. And they mobilized. They like to prey on the weak and the vulnerable. So they're like, oh, there's someone who can't defend himself. Attack! Yeah.
We can't pay any of our bills. We have a baby on the way.
She is the victim of the West Side Ripper.
What if we make a podcast about this together?
A googly eyes on the mic kind of moment. Would a microphone have its eyes on like this or like this? Yeah, okay. There we go. I'm just going to be riffing off the cuff for a while, so don't expect some big receipt drop. It's just going to be me talking things out. I've got some notes to follow generally, and I'll try to do that so that I don't get disorganized. When I posted on Twitter that I didn't really want to rehash a bunch of old stuff from a group project, but just wanted to explain that work functionally broke down and didn't pan out, that is how I felt. And I still maintain an entire lack of interest in pointing fingers over petty things. But not speaking about at least some of what has now been brought up has left a vacuum that can be filled with doubt towards a friend of mine and myself. And without ambiguity, I wanted to address the parts that I was present for that I feel were misrepresented and lied about, just to clear the air on that side, since I feel at least a little bit like some words were put in my mouth. By the way, if you're here only looking for drama, get out of here. This isn't for you. I really just want to address my community and by extension, Click's community. Those who are there for this or have seen the fallout since. If you're new here, hi, I'm One Topic. I'm going to be breaking this up into a few sections. Here are the highlights. I've largely not wanted to talk about things the last few years because I've been ready to move on. And I was, frankly, just tired of being bullied. A lot of you know that I pretty openly wear my heart on my sleeve. I mean, I sobbed kind of openly when we were playing The Last of Us. Aw, a bunny. Hey, little guy. He's really cool. I cared deeply for my friends and the community, and showing that vulnerability to bullying on the internet wasn't really of interest to me, as I know what kind of audience may follow that, and what that can result in for those who currently enjoy the positivity of our comment section and spaces. I've already seen some of that come along after her video dropped. I don't really want to be the focus here on this channel, or in general. I've been more interested in making the focus the stories or the memes that I share, and then the moments that I relate to them, rather than sharing my life in full or being some celebrity figure. I'm a very average person who doesn't enjoy the attention and really doesn't enjoy this situation. So this isn't going to be some flashy video. It's just low key. And when it's done, I hope we don't have to revisit things. Before jumping in, I just want to say this somewhere near the front. The way that I've seen some people address this situation is unacceptable. To use this as an excuse to bash someone's appearance or gender is something that I will not support in this community.
True.
I don't condone going out and harassing any creator involved. To briefly recap the situation, if it's needed, I was in a fun group project called Sad Milk, which I was pretty proud of, and I shouted it out constantly in videos and streams and other projects. Tons of positive aspects initially, but the value of those aspects ended up watered down over time, and my friends and I left the project when the good no longer outweighed the bad. Anyways, Illuminaughtii has dropped a video about it, one that at the time of recording this is still up, and it should be taken down. Take it for what you will, but a lot
It shouldn't be taken down.
Was framed incorrectly or was outright false. It did
I'm never gonna take it down.
Not properly outline what the members of the group accomplished in terms of work, and the vague accusations that payments weren't made and were still an issue right to the end of the project is also just odd. A lot has been said about it already.
He's saying the payments are fine.
In Clicks and Wonders videos, I agree with their recounting as I remember it the same way. From my recollection, after things started to get more serious and we had a few recordings, it became pretty clear early on that a couple members couldn't really afford the cost of a fun side project, and we had conversations as a group about how to solve for that because we didn't want to exclude our friends. One solution discussed, for example, was the rest of the group taking on those costs. For example, when we found out that one of the group members couldn't get the 100K plaque because they couldn't afford the cost of it, we discussed pitching in together with our earnings to get it for them. It wasn't some debt that they'd owe, but just something that we could do for them so that we could all celebrate together. I mention this just to demonstrate that when issues arose, we talked them out as a group to find a solution and then solved for it. So I'm unsure what the larger conversation around payments or payment issues is, as I'm unaware of it. And it wasn't a central theme to why things broke down. Honestly, seeing things unfold this way has been pretty tough. I've taken a break for a hot minute from longer videos because of it, and as you can tell, I'm a little bit rusty sitting here trying to record this. I've been gone for a bit over a month now, it looks like, right after having just taken a break from my health. I've also seen there's just some expectation that I should drop this big expose that I have had no interest in. I haven't spent the last month curating content for a video to play into drama. I've spent that time with friends who were involved, collecting our thoughts and checking in on one another. After everything that I've read this last month about this situation and after, I at least want to address what I was present for. I'm not going to talk about everything that went on. It's either unimportant at this moment or puts other creators at risk of being targeted. It made me uncomfortable to hear words or intentions put in my mouth regarding the group call whose framing in the video does not comport with reality. The retelling of how our group conversation went and using it as a way to frame the situation as Click not actioning soon enough or responding timely is simply a lie. By the time we got into our one-on-one call and even the group call, it had already been taken care of. The person who had been inappropriate was banned from his Discord. I was spending time with Human 1 before she had to be ready for work when I got the DMs, so I went over to my mic to try to figure out what was going on. The one-on-one call was more to check in on, do you think he would support this person's behavior? And I said no, but that we should really be talking to him directly about this. Illuminaughtii sounded pretty upset during our one-on-one call, and I wonder why. To be there for my friend, but I know without a doubt that Click would not support that person's behavior. Click, who is someone I spend an inordinate amount of time with, and I thought the best way to clear this up would be to just talk to him. It felt weird that we hadn't yet. We all got into a group call and confirmed everything had been taken care of prior to the call. The person had been banned, and no, of course, he doesn't condone their behavior, and if he had been awake for it, he would have jumped on it immediately, and that he'll talk to his mods about it directly, and so on and so forth. I felt like I was more emotional support rather than mediating the chat, so I didn't have that much involvement in the conversation. I actually just sat there and listened for most of it. The call ended up going on for so long that I was really late for my scheduled stream and my mods were waiting on me, which I'd mentioned. At that point, I'd already opened up Microsoft Flight Simulator so I could get it ready for stream, which was noticed during the call and mentioned because Discord has zero chill. And every time you open up a game, it'll change your status to whatever the game is that you have open, so that was seen. Near the end of the call, Illuminaughtii stated that she wanted me to see the screenshots to fully understand the gravity of the situation, and I conveyed that since it was already shared between the two of them during the call, and the person was banned, and how Click was going to talk to his mom was already shared between the two of them during the call, and the person was banned, and how Click was going to talk to his mods after this conversation, and with how everything was already discussed and solved, that I didn't need to see them, and I had no interest in them. I really didn't want to see the messages of a banned Discord person. A folder of them was dropped into the chat, and I was told it was important to look at them, so wanting to keep the waters calm, I opened the folder, and I looked at one of the screenshots, and then I reiterated in written text what I'd already conveyed, which was that I had no interest in having access to the screenshots. The conversation felt weird at the time, and looking back, it's weird how it was reframed for the purpose of that video, but from my memory, the call was actually pretty positive. Checking in on an issue that was seen on Discord, making sure Click was okay, and I had the impression we were all friends by the end of it. I don't want to rehash the screenshot everyone has seen, but I actually DM'd Click immediately after the call, and this was our conversation regarding it. How dare you diss my kissy noises? Yeah, thanks for that, dude. Lol. I'm sorry all of that got dumped on you at once, dude. I agree, Illumi can talk to you directly about this, obviously, and she woke me up a while ago with a lot of concerns, so I was just sticking around to make sure that she didn't take things to the worst conclusion. Let me know if you feel up to streaming or anything today. Haha, it's all good. I'm not surprised, to be honest, and it isn't a shock. Happy to have you there. We'll see. I was planning on streaming like an hour ago, but if this doesn't drain me too much, I'm down. Can't promise, though. It was draining to me. I didn't know about this stuff outside of what you told me a few weeks ago, and I was sleeping. Lol. This was me joking about having been asleep at the time. This is in reference to the call, because we all knew Click had been asleep. And same, I pushed back my stream, haha. I'll start with Fall Guys and you can keep me posted. Nice. Click had already solved an issue with his mods a few weeks before, and that was brought up during the call, and he explained it was handled, but that wasn't the focus of the call. Before moving forwards, I know that my Discord is much smaller, but I'm still confused about the phrasing of who owned whose mods, and claiming Click's mods didn't do anything to ban a member if they both shared mods, because then the mods who did do the ban were also his mods, even if they're moderating elsewhere, because they're also moderating his Discord? Anyways, I didn't.
It's defined differently by anyone you ask, yet it defines who we are. It takes guts, grit, and a whole
meeting, Click did express the importance of having one to clear the air about what we all found stressful and how to solve for it, something he and I had talked about, but we didn't call a meeting. He and I had actually scheduled time off for us to catch up on our workload and just spend time away from the project, and when we were told the meeting was to take place, it was during that time off that we had scheduled. Time we needed to step away for a breather. I don't need to rehash the full meeting. I wasn't there for as long as the others, and what was said to me was quoted more accurately in Wonder's video. How the rest of the meeting went was recounted to me afterwards and later corroborated by the others who stayed. This was detailed in Click's Twitter thread. It became clear during afterwards and later corroborated by the others who stayed. This was detailed in Click's Twitter thread. It became clear during the meeting that me simply staying involved in the project was unhealthy for me, but also that my participation was seen as antagonistic. I don't know what she needed, but whatever it was, whatever kind of help it wasn't what a friend could give. And I don't think I was one at that point. And that sucked. I hadn't actually seen my departing message since making it. I wrote this and then left the server. Since it's been in others' videos, I'm just gonna read it out. Hey fam, I've had a quick chat with Oz, but I want to share with you the details. I've decided to step away from Sad Milk. Sad Milk is an excellent project, one that I've loved participating in and making friends through. I genuinely care for each of you, and it's hard to recognize when things are fundamentally not working despite trying to push through it. I have done my best to adapt myself, my voice, my presence, and my humor around what all of you will find works in a video. And I've done my absolute best to be the voice of reason when big things are changing or we need someone to prepare bad news, but the level of involvement I've had is not sustainable, and progressing further into it this way is continuing to be unhealthy for me, both publicly and privately. Currently, I will be stepping away from Sad Milk. I don't have any public messaging planned, as any change, such as someone leaving, can make people feel like a project is on rocky footing, and I don't want my personal exit to be the cause of yet more drama. I love you all, and I need to do this for my sake. I love what we've done so far, and I know you can take this further. OT. It's I've also asked Click, who left a day or so after I did, to please read his departing message for us.
God, my nose is stuffy today, but I'm gonna read this anyway, because...
Dude, you're so sick.
Okay, let me get through this. Oh my god. Hey friends, I'm a slime all over y'all. I have taken this last week to think things through thoroughly and realized during the past time, and especially during the Monday meeting, that a lot of priorities and ideas for Sad Milk have shifted. It is always fun to see a project move forward and see your friends be invested and creative. However, I also feel like I was in the minority in the meeting, and that is perfectly okay. Everyone doesn't have to agree on everything or do the same things. With all these... God.
You're
with
dying
all these changes,
right now.
I am very dying. With all these changes, Sad Milk is heading in a direction that I simply cannot follow at this time. You may have noticed on my other platforms that I have decreased my width and activity in many places, such as the podcast, my ASMR channel, I stream less, etc. I realized that my life was getting incredibly isolated, where I sometimes didn't see another human for 3 days in a row and didn't leave the house. Being the extrovert I am, this has started to affect my mental health negatively, and I need to drop some things to make life work. Hence, I can't ride with you on the current path Sad Milk is on. I wish the best for the channel, and it has been a blast to do something like this with like-minded people. I do still consider everyone here close friends, and I look forward to talking with you guys in DMs or other servers. I don't plan on having a public announcement made, just let it fade out smoothly. With a new style of content that might actually happen naturally. Love you all deeply, and thank you for letting me partake in this project. Woo!
Thanks for recording it, even though you're really sick.
Oh, no worries, no worries. My voice is still buttery smooth, but instead of butter, it's slime.
Oh God, stop. All right, that's it. We're done. Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Come on. Thanks, Click. After that, we talked about how we could quietly tell our moderators that we had left the group without causing a stir, to not cause a mess, but to look out for specific or targeted messages in chat or in Discords and redirect or delete as needed. We had no intention of going after anyone or telling a story about why we left. We wanted what was best for our friends, even if that meant we couldn't move forwards with them on one work project. Illuminaughtii is correct that she did not speak to me after the meeting, not since 2020. Click was right that we didn't want to weigh in on things at the time because speaking towards any of this was clearly seen as antagonistic or threatening, and we just wanted to give everyone the space to move on. But regardless of what we did or didn't do, rumors continued to spin, and it was so disappointing, especially when some of the rumors were furthered on Reddit from Illuminauti's main account. Not only were these posts inaccurate, but they showed
Well, did you do more
a
than that?
dishonest oversimplification of the work we had done on this project.
Introducing new Black Angus.
Oh, the bots. Yeah, they use robots to the AI, and they pretend to be real people. They try to influence. Yeah.
From my server with everything going on. I've tried not to share a lot of personal details about myself when making my channel, intentionally so, because I want the focus to be more on the stories or memes from the community that knows what it feels like to not like yourself and to want to improve. And something I found when I started my YouTube channel is I started to like myself more. There's still down days and bad days, but they were a lot more manageable when being able to focus on work I believed in and supporting a community I really value. Struggling with mental health was something I related to strongly with other members of the group, and we talked pretty openly about it. Our fears, our insecurities. One thing I never thought would be released was personal details about a group member's mental health or their struggles. I figured those kind of
Live by the sword, die by the sword.
Personal details would be off limits and no way would be used as a weapon. We were surprised by the Reddit posts. Certainly, the details from the troll account were so specific. But behind the scenes, I was constantly reminding people not to jump to conclusions about this, that even though the timing was strange and the details were so specific, we should not be paranoid about who it originated from. I don't have a lot of interest in going over the Doobie Schmertz accounts themselves in detail. Either the one on Reddit or the ones on Twitter or however many other alt accounts. I worked with Click when it happened to contact the creators and friends that were tagged, and I know he apologized for his words that he said when he was 15. And Swedish, and learning English as a second language. However, the account targeted his apology, said it was bad, and continued on to ping others. It became clear the harassment was not intended to stop. There were specific portions of the posts on Reddit from the troll account that stood out to me, and intentional phrasing to drive a wedge between Click and I. And one topic is friends with someone while pretending to be wholesome and good. I think one topic is a liar and a sham and has been pandering to our community. If he stays friends with someone like this, he is using us for money. It was such specific phrasing and sounded so familiar. I didn't want to believe it. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind around this. We had been transparent about focusing on streaming to help bring in side income because even though a side project like Sad Milk was affordable and even profitable in the latter months, in order to do this long term, we needed to ensure we were bringing in more income in addition to having fun with the community. And I talked about how making content for the Patreon
Money
was taking a lot of time, but how I really enjoyed my circle over there. And the comment, I know I'm going to be leaving and stop supporting him on Patreon, sounded so...
Don't mess with my money.
I couldn't believe that this was the person who would say that. Salty.
Well, they're mad about money. Because they're losing money because of the pedophiles. Yeah, no one likes pedophiles, so they stop giving them money. And they're like, no, no, no. keep giving us the money, it's someone else's fault. They're passing the blame, but no one wants to receive it. They all want to pass it. How do you... With a hammer. You cure pedophilia with a hammer.
Yes. Did you leave Sad Milk because we were paying you better on the podcast?
No. No. Wait, I was getting paid?
Shut up, Salty. A couple of months later, I found out personal and private details about members of the group who left were being spread around maliciously when I was DM'd by a concerned community member who had been talked to. A community member who still messages me today with concerns about all of this. The message was concerning offline information that had not been shared outside of private work conversations, private one-on-one conversations, or had not been shared at all, mixed in with fabrications. It later became clear who that information had originated from, and this was later independently corroborated by a creator who had come forward to me who had witnessed this. Over the last month, I've seen a lot of things that were said about me and about us, maybe too much. I do believe that a person should be allowed some space and privacy to vent frustrations or to feel angry about friends or colleagues with people they trust. And I'm not upset about that. I don't care that mean words were said about me or that mean words will still be said about me. What I do care about is how lies were weaponized against myself and my friends. There is a distinct difference between privately venting and purposefully spreading of harmful lies. I had to tell my family that they couldn't engage with my content out of concern that they might say something that would get them targeted too. I had to worry not just about who I made friends with, but who, by being friends with me, I put at risk.
Welcome to the real world, kid.
Dealing with all of this is certainly stressful, and you start to question yourself and doubt yourself. I had no idea that that was by design. I feel very lucky that I've had a good support network around myself the last few years. I've had the same friends who went through that with me.
Yep, I'm still here.
Yeah, still here, just sick, not dead.
And the same moderators who help keep the community safe.
I moderate your Discord, I moderate your Twitch, I moderate your YouTube, I moderate your life.
Hey! All right now, Monster. All right. And Human One has been through all of this with me and seen everything.
Yep, I'm still here.
I've taken a month away from things because I'm also the support network for others, and I've been there for them. Through this most recent rehashing of things, I've seen what they've seen, and being there for them was the priority. I still don't want to believe all of this is true. I'm not convinced the person who did this did not intend real world harm to us. The only kind of person who could slander their friends like this is someone who is darkly unremarkable. Blair, I don't know if you've made it this far, but I'm...
See, he's blaming her, but he doesn't know who it is.
Sorry. I truly am. I really wish we could have been the friends you were looking for, but we were still your friends. What you did was unacceptable and goes so far beyond any petty beefs or squabbles or hurt feelings. This wasn't just trying to separate yourself from us like we asked for and worked to do. You acted like this was a war and that you should be recruiting soldiers to come after us. You lied. And I can only think that's because you wanted us gone. Not just off of YouTube. You wanted these lies to come into our everyday life offline. You're right. We haven't spoken since the meeting, and I had wondered about that because now...
Accusations without no evidence.
Now it seems like you had a plan you wanted to implement, and we were your punching bags. And that sucked, man. So much. Stop going after people who were your friends. Stop bullying other creators. I used to be really proud of what we worked on, and I've got some good memories of it, with yourself included. These people who were your friends, who had gone to bat for you so many times, and then when they finally couldn't take how you treated them, you immediately turned on them and worked to isolate them from their friends and their communities. People aren't only a sum of their worst qualities, and we aren't only our insecurities or fears. None of us looked at you as only one thing. We were proud to be your friends, and for so long, we gave you everything we were able to.
You're a man when you decide that you're a man, and you're a boy until you decide that you're a man. That's why there's 30-year-old boys and 10-year-old men in Africa.
Too. But when we explained our boundaries, it just wasn't good enough. That kind of resentment builds up. It doesn't mean we hated you or that we could never reconnect down the road, but we recognized that it was no longer safe for our well-being to keep working with you. Having a grudge is one thing, but going after everyone is something entirely different. I don't know you, Blair. I don't know you, but I really wish things could have been different. I don't know if you have a support network around you to help you through this, but I hope you do. I hope on the other side of this, you just discontinue your harassment of creators you were once associated with, that you stop punching down on smaller creators. I don't have any hope of an honest apology, but you should really take that video down, Blair. I had to get a coffee and cool down. All right, common questions. Yeah, ads on the video. The others have talked about why, algorithm and whatnot, but I also haven't uploaded for over a month while talking with the guys and going through all of the details of the situation, so a little bit of time to make up for. Are you pursuing this legally? I have spoken to a legal team about this previously, before all of this, and while there are directions we could go in, I just have no interest in pursuing that option at this time. Unless I have to. Like before, I just want to be done with all this. Fundraising! Yes! It's the first of the month. It's Pride Month. And I'm linking the Trevor Project on this video, as I have on many other videos. My target is to complete the goal of raising $100,000 by the end of June. We're getting suspiciously close. Are you still gonna keep making content? If the intention was to make me go away forever, I'm certainly not gonna be making it easier to achieve that. I will still be making content. This is my only planned response. I don't really want to cover everything I've been through in all this. It just doesn't feel helpful. I've spent a lot of time speaking to my friends about how I could best support them. And at that time, all they needed was for me to be there for them. Now, with threats of legal action, I wanted my position to be clear. I do have a bit of a funny story from this. When talking with Wonder, I heard the words, James, down the stairs into the basement, and I say, what? I did no such thing. What a time to find out you share a name with a dog. Out of all of this, at least there's one like fun thing I can finally do. Boom. It was still covered up a little bit. Okay, there. All right, I don't have a fun sign-off for this video like I do the usual ones, but I do have a stupid video of me and the guys running around throwing snowballs at one another, and I'll blur it out because it's in a neighborhood, but I'll let that play us off here.
Wonderstruck, where are your shoes? Wonder, Wonder, go inside. Where are your shoes? Where are your come inside. Wonderstruck, please, don't make me run. There's snow and so God. Bro, come back. Wonder, oh God. Okay, are you coming back?
I have hypothermia.
Come on.
Oh shit.
Oh God, oh God, oh God. My only hope. The official lost media is chasing me. I have shoes. No one can stop me now. Oh, you power-hungry bastard. Please, we have enough content, you madman. They seem to be tracking a wild Wonderstruck guy. Holy shit, it's cold. Wonder, where are your shoes?
Oh, also, stay tuned to see if I get sued, I guess.
You got bigger things for getting sued.
The WoW developer that told Asmon to seek psychological help. What is this? Oh, I think I remember this. What is this?
I can't believe I have to make this video, but if you think Arthas did nothing wrong in the culling of Stratholme...
Arthas did everything right. He saved the world.
You need to seek...
Arthas is a repersonification of Jesus. And at the end, they hung him up on a cross because he died for your sins.
Psychological help. You need to talk to a therapist. The mass murder of civilians should never be the solution to a plague situation. We're not out there gunning down people with COVID or setting flame to people with Ebola. We just don't do that because that is inhumane. It is inhuman. That is the point of the culling of Stratholme. It's the turning point of evil for Arthas. So please stop saying that he did nothing wrong or trying to justify his actions. They are absolutely wrong. The only way to defeat the undead is to flee, because you are depriving them of the resource they need to create more undead. The humans that they kill and turn into undead. Please seek help. Please.
Okay. So this was the clip that he had, and so I'll read what he said. He said, "My opinion is better than yours, Asmongold's, or any other person on this particular topic, with maybe the exception of Chris Metzen, because I created the level. It's a turning point towards evil, and no context you add. It changes that Arthas' decision to mass murder the civilians of Stratholme was objectively and morally wrong. That is the story that was told, and people's weak and pathetic attempts to circumvent the facts of the story are disturbing. After administering a psychopathy test to many of the individuals holding and discovering that opinion,
I was one of those testers.
High levels of psychopathy among them, I sincerely hope they seek help for their condition."
You could score right, left, and middle. I scored middle. Dave scored far left. And majority of others scored far right. And I try to argue with him, like, middle's the most neutral one. And if you're extreme of any category, you're probably crazy.
Before they harm others. Let me repeat what I said whenever we originally watched this, is that Arthas did nothing wrong. He was completely justified in killing all of the people in Stratholme, especially with the information that he had available to him. And I think that if you had a real-life situation that was similar to this, it would be viewed in the same way. The reason why Ebola and COVID are not the same thing is because people that get Ebola or COVID don't turn into zombies that can continuously infect more and more people and try to bite their throat out. I mean, it's completely different. There was no cure. He made the rational decision that would save his nation. The truth is, if Uther and Jaina had the strength to follow their king, their future king Arthas, we would be in Lordaeron now and not that shithole Stormwind. I've never liked Stormwind, and we lost Lordaeron because Uther and Jaina are pussies. Arthas made the decision that only a king could make. They already ate the infected wheat. There was no saving them. Yeah, they were already going to die. Like, I think that what he's saying here would have a lot more weight to it if they were not already infected. But they were. So that's it, yeah. Like, if they were not infected, he would be totally right. But these people were going to die anyway.
I won't allow it, Mal'Ganis. Better that these people die by my hand than serve as your slaves in death.
We need paladins in here for a counter-argument. You already had a paladin. You had Arthas. Yeah, the paladins ran away, just like always.
So guys, Andrew's just released a new interview with the BBC. If you want to join the real world, we have a link in the description.
Andrew Tate. Hello. You've agreed to do an interview with the BBC today.
Yep.
The material is going to be published on television, on radio, online.
Perfect.
We are doing an interview with you because you're facing some very serious allegations.
Correct.
Rape, human trafficking.
Yep.
And also because there's a great deal of concern about the things you say and the impact that they have on young people, on women.
I don't think the concern's about the things I say. I think the concern is for the level of influence I have and the reach I have. I would argue that a lot of the things that are already out there inside of the legacy media and the matrix as a whole are far more damaging than the things I say.
It's the concern about the influence you have being a harmful influence, but let's start with the allegations.
Not necessarily a harmful influence. The fact that I'm massively influential over the youth, and I understand that, but it's my influence as a whole which people are afraid of, not necessarily the things I say.
Let's start with the allegations. Have you raped anybody?
Absolutely not.
Have you trafficked anybody?
Absolutely not.
Exploited any women for
Absolutely
money?
not.
But you have admitted using emotional manipulation to get women to work in the webcam industry for you.
No. Firstly, let's begin let's start at the beginning. I'm facing charges. The first one you mentioned, the rape one's already been thrown out by a judge because there's no evidence of it. Secondly, it's very difficult for me to sit here and have a very frank and honest conversation with you while we're in the territory of Romania about a legal case that's going on within Romania. I have to protect myself. I've agreed to do an interview with you, and I want to be as honest with you as possible. But I can't incriminate myself in any way, and I have to be very careful with what I talk about.
There are no charges yet.
Correct, there are no charges.
Has said that
there are no
more
charges,
evidence
and I've agreed to speak to you, but I have to be as honest and frank as I can while also protecting myself and following my legal counsel.
So let's talk about what you've said yourself then. You have said on the website for your original website for the Hustlers University that you emotionally manipulated women to fall in love with you so that you could get them working in the sex industry for your financial gain.
As I said, I have to be very careful with what I say, but let's put it this way. No women are coming out against me.
Dreaming of becoming a doctor?
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not. Who?
There's testimony from the current investigation.
The current investigation, which I cannot discuss, which I know intimately and you don't, I can tell you right now that the women who are in this case file, there are 2 American women who have been caught already admitting they're lying, and then nobody else is accusing me of anything.
To begin with, it's very common in cases like this that the alleged victims do not...
Majority versus minority. $4 million versus 1 million.
Always see themselves as victims.
Well, that's very interesting. It's actually extremely interesting because if I was a matrix-controlled organization and my goal was to slander somebody and try and destroy their name, you're telling me that they've chosen a crime which, 1, is heinous, of course, because it damages the person's credibility, and 2, you're saying that even if everyone else involved, if you have 5 people and everyone's sitting there saying, no, nobody's hurt anybody, we like Andrew, we've all worked together, we're friends, etc.
That's not what everybody's saying.
No.
Let me read you some of the testimony from the current investigation.
Can I finish this?
One of the witnesses said...
Can I finish, please?
You're not answering the question I've asked you. You're not answering the question I've asked you.
I am answering the question. Let
me read you the testimony of one of the witnesses.
You're saying the people who are involved in this, even if they say they're not victims, that they're still going to try and attack me and pretend they're victims.
They are treated as victims by the case that's ongoing. And not all of them are saying that. One of the witnesses says...
We can't go into the case. The case is open and active.
Well, let's just be clear that not all of the witnesses in the case are behaving in the way you describe. And even those that are, it doesn't bar them from being treated as victims by the prosecution by the case.
We have an open criminal investigation. I am absolutely not really sure I'll be found innocent. I know the case better than you. I know it intimately and you don't. I have seen all the criminal files and the evidence against me and you haven't. I know the truth of what happened and you don't. And I'm telling you absolutely not really, I've never hurt anybody, that the case that's been put against me is completely and utterly fabricated, and I'm never going to be found guilty of anything. And it's very difficult for me to answer your in-depth questions because we're sitting here inside of the territory of
innocent
Romania. I am beholden to the Romanian legal system, and I'm not going to incriminate myself because you're trying to prod me. You are wrong, and we're going to have to accept that for now and talk about something else.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together.
I don't think that's what I personally said. I think that's
exactly what
no,
you said
that's no, I've never said that. That's something that you found on the internet. Doesn't mean I've said it. And again, once again, if any female on the planet has a problem with me, I strongly recommend her to go to the police and try and pursue me for criminal charges. It's actually very interesting that me, one of the most famous people in the world, who's been vilified by the legacy media and places all over the internet, while everyone has attacked me from every single angle, while federal agencies from multiple countries have called over 2,000 women who know me, we stand here with 0 new accusations since my arrest. 0. If you took any famous person, any man of substantial wealth, and you called 2,000 women who knew him, he'd find an ex-girlfriend is upset, somebody who wants money who's upset. They called 2,000 people who knew me and could not find a single woman to make a new complaint. The only complaints they have against me are the initial complaints, which we can prove are lies, and that's where it stands. So I'm not going to sit here and allow you to pretend that I'm some kind of evil predator, when actually I'd argue the fact that people who've been investigated to the level I've been investigated to, if you were to take the average man on the street and investigate his entire life for 14 months, call everyone who's ever known him, and vilify him in the media, and encourage people to come forward for money, and you're trying to contact every ex-girlfriend he's ever had.
Would come forward and accuse those people of rape and accuse those
I
people
think that you would have a lot more.
manipulation.
I think you would have a lot more flack than I've got. I'm actually such a nice person that I've never had
The BBC
anyone
has
come
spoken
at.
to somebody since your arrest who says exactly those things. That with you, it's all manipulation. There's an ulterior.
Is this
motive
Sophie?
to everything.
Is this
you've
Sophie?
done.
Oh, it's Sophie, the fake name, no face, no
I
one,
was so
the story
intent
that
on
was
wanting
invented.
to please him and wanting him to be happy that I was just kind of, yeah, okay, do whatever you want.
And what has she
That's
accused? Has she accused me of a crime? This imaginary Sophie?
She's making the point that there is
Has she accused me of a crime?
emotional or psychological manipulation.
I've asked you a question, and I've allowed you into my house.
I'm asking you a question.
Correct, but you're not the boss here, because I've allowed you into my house
I'm asking you the question.
correctly, and I'm telling you.
You get to decide the answers.
No, we're equal here. I've allowed you into my house. You don't come here with a position of authority. I'm doing you the favor as legacy media, giving you relevance by speaking to you. And I'm telling you now, this Sophie, which the BBC has invented, which there's no face of, nobody knows who she is.
The
and
BBC did not invent
Of
her.
course not. And because you never invent anything. And she's not filed criminal charges against me. What are we talking about here? What is she
We're
saying?
talking about emotional manipulation
Has she-
into the sex industry for your financial gain.
Absolute garbage. She has not filed this person, if they exist, has not filed criminal charges against me. I welcome anybody who believes I've harmed them, male or female, any point in the past, to file criminal charges against me, and I will fight them. I know who I am, and I know what I've done, and I know the truth, and I know that I'll be found innocent of this attack. The reason I'm being attacked is because of my massive influence, not because I've ever hurt anybody. And for you to sit here and say that everybody around you is saying you're innocent, but that doesn't matter because the state will say they're victims, and they're just going to grab everybody you know and call everybody victims, even if they say they're not, and try and put you in jail. You are describing a matrix attack. You're not describing human trafficking.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human trafficking.
We
and
will see what
who-
women go.
excuse me, can I
We will
finish
see
this?
what women go to court at
Can
the
I
end of this
finish,
trial.
please?
We'll see which women go
Can
to
I
court.
finish, please?
We'll see which women go to court.
I'm describing women who are going to court to accuse you of rape and human
Sophie hasn't gone to
trafficking.
court. Sophie doesn't
and
exist.
I'm describing women who have spoken to the BBC at length.
Sophie doesn't exist.
And other media organisations about what they say is emotional manipulation and coercion. And I'm quoting back to you your own words where you describe
They're not my words.
coercion.
They're words
and
you
emotional
found. They're
manipulation.
words you found on the internet, and Sophie doesn't exist.
On
So
your
let's move on to
website,
the next
in
subject.
your voice.
Move on to the next subject.
No, I think I'll stick on this one for a minute. So there's other places in that same website where you say you get girls to fall in love with you and they do it because they love you, because they want to do what you say. Convincing women to take part in some kind of business arrangement doesn't work long term because they're emotional. You've got to get them to fall in love with you.
Once
That's
again,
coercion, that's emotional manipulation, that's abuse.
what you've found are clips from the internet, some text from the internet, and you're going to sit here and tell me that that's the reason I should be put
Your
in jail.
website, your words.
It's not my website.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. Check my website. Next.
It's the website you've taken down, and I wonder why those comments have been taken down.
No website's been taken down. My website. Very long time.
The comments on this website, on the original website, have been taken down, and I wonder why.
You are accusing me, I'm guessing, what you're trying to say is you're accusing me and you're trying to say that I'm guilty of the things I'm accused of and that I'm emotionally manipulating people.
I'm saying that you have said you emotionally manipulated people here for your own financial gain.
No, absolutely not.
And I'm asking you about that.
Absolutely not is the answer. I look forward to the end of this trial. I look forward to clearing my name. I look forward to the BBC and the legacy media having to say not guilty and having to tell the truth. As I've said before, the only other person who's been found, despite absolute rigorous, destructive levels of investigation and prodding into my life, is this imaginary Sophie by the BBC who doesn't exist. And if you were to find any single other man on earth and try and analyze his life forensically to the level they've done mine, you would find genuine damage to people. I don't hurt people.
It's not just...
Thousands of women have come out in my defense. Thousands of women have come out in my defense, and you've not mentioned that. Thousands of women come out in my defense.
Because the problem is when women accuse you of serious crimes
okay.
and emotional
But
manipulation.
let's agree that
that's
thousands
the
of
problem.
women... let's agree that
it's
thousands...
not the problem that some people say you haven't done it, it's a problem that some people say you have.
Thousands of women come out in my defense, and as we stand right now, we have an open criminal investigation. The people who are involved in the criminal investigation are saying that we're not victims of anything. Andrew's fine, he's never hurt us. You're saying, no, I have the opposite to that. I have to counter that. I have someone called Sophie with no face, a fake name, who we've invented, and she's not accusing you of anything criminal. So I don't see the whole point you're trying to make here.
You say you manipulate women, they say you manipulate women. Why wouldn't people think you do?
I'm not here. Do you think I'm manipulating you?
I'm asking you about the testimony you've given on your website and the testimony
No,
women have given
you've
about
printed
you.
something off that you found on Reddit, and you're going to sit here and say that that makes me a bad person. I'm saying that you should know better as a journalist and do some proper journalism. Let's investigate the fact that thousands...
I think you should answer my questions
I
properly.
am. I already have, and we should move on. She's just trying to start an argument.
It's not only about the criminal allegations. It's a much bigger issue. You've got children's organisations in the UK, you've got rape organisations in the UK, you've got the police naming you by name as someone who has a harmful influence on children and on women in the UK and elsewhere because of the things you say, because of the way you present gender relations, the way you say men should treat women.
That's very upsetting. And the reason that's very upsetting is because I know that's not true. I'm genuinely a good person. I believe my impact on the world is positive. In fact, if you were to read the comment section of nearly any video I post, especially by the legacy media, 95% of the population agree with me. Most people know that the things I say are positive. Legacy media as a whole has lost all its credibility in the last 3 to 4 years. Nobody believes it. And it's a shame, it's a massive shame that the BBC come here and try and push and purport this idea that I'm a dangerous person.
I'm
anti-drugs. I've never pushed drugs or any... I'm anti-drugs, I'm anti-violence. The UK is facing a knife crime epidemic, and they're going to sit here and say that I'm the most dangerous man in the UK.
You have said you're the most dangerous man in the world.
I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world.
You've also said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner. I'm glad you find that funny.
I find it funny that you're sitting here saying that I've said I'm the most dangerous man in the world, and you believe that's... When did I say that?
I'm asking if you believe it.
No, you said you're the most dangerous man in the world. Is that some kind of proof that I'm dangerous? Am I Dr. Evil now? I'm telling you that it's very upsetting that you're going to sit here and that certain organizations in the world are going to try and pretend that I'm the biggest force of evil on earth when I'm genuinely a force for good.
You have said.
I'm genuinely a force for good.
I've said.
And the reason they're doing this is because of the massive influence I have over the youth, and they don't like that I'm telling the youth to think outside of the matrix and ignore things like the BBC, which come here with loaded questions and false narratives and try and paint innocent people as guilty.
You've said women's intimate parts belong to their male partner.
I said that if a woman marries a man, she takes his last name and traditionally the man gives her away. I've been pushing traditional religious beliefs, because I'm a religious man, and traditional beliefs in regards to marriage, which everybody accepted 10 to 15 years ago.
So
that's not a crazy conspiracy theory. If you're going to sit here and say that me believing a woman should take a man's last name in marriage makes me the most dangerous man in the world, then you're just going to lose even more credibility than the BBC's already lost in the last 4 to 5 years. If that's your point, if that's your narrative you want to push,
say that
good
men
luck.
should be able to sleep with a lot of women outside marriage. That doesn't sound very religious or very conservative.
That's not what I said they should be able to. I said a lot of high-value men, a lot of rich men do it. And then we discussed at length on podcasts why rich men do it. And we also discussed why women decide to be unfaithful. It's not a gendered argument. We discussed unfaithfulness as a whole. What are the reasons and motivations for men, and what are the reasons and motivations for women? Because you have no time to actually, watch my content. Because you have no time to actually watch my content at length and understand what I'm saying. You just come here with a small snippet, which we provided to you on a piece of paper.
Saying it 3 times doesn't make it true.
No, completely. You don't have a clue what I say or what I talk about. You never watch my content. You have small pieces of paper, small clips on a piece of paper, and you're trying to pretend I've said evil things. And then you're going to say I'm the most dangerous man in the world, which is truly laughable.
You said that, not me.
Okay. Do you believe I'm the most dangerous man in the world, Lucy?
I'm not answering your questions.
Well then we need to change the dynamic of this interview because, and I'll make this clear, I allowed you into my home. I'm doing you a favor, giving you the first interview I'm giving to the public. You don't come here with a position of authority. You're not the police. I don't respect the BBC. I don't know you. You do not come here with a position of authority over me. We are equals. We are people. We're citizens of the world, and we sit here as equals. And I see you as my equal. And if you ask me questions, I can ask you questions back. For you to come here and sit down and pretend you're the Gestapo and that you don't have to answer my questions is disingenuous because I don't owe you anything.
Asking questions and you answer.
But I don't owe
however you want.
This is a conversation. And I don't owe you any degree of authority over me. So let's make that clear. And that doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman or from the BBC or the CNN. I'm here to answer your questions and be honest with you and do you a favor.
Great.
And I'm doing you a favor. But you come here with loaded questions. You're trying to paint a narrative of me which is negative.
I'm asking you about things you've said that people are concerned about.
And that's fine. But you're not going to sit here and say you don't answer my questions because you're not above me.
This is also not supposed to be a third degree. It's supposed to be a conversation.
Absolutely.
Well, it would help if you answered the question.
I've answered every question so far.
Let me ask another question.
Sure.
You have said that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner, and if she goes on OnlyFans, he is entitled to a cut of her income.
You are extremely, it's very confusing to me why you're going to sit here, take long format podcasts I've done, which are 3 or 4 hours long, in context where I've sat with OnlyFans girls, 10 or 15 OnlyFans girls, where we've been joking back and forth, ignore every comment and satirical comment and sarcastic comment that the females have made.
Are you ready?
Ready. Let's go.
Come along and say, you said this and that, and you're the most evil man in the world. I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is.
Say it?
I don't know if you understand what sarcasm is. I don't know if you understand what context is. I don't know if you understand what satirical content
So you're saying it was sarcastic?
I'm saying it was a very interesting talk show. And for you to sit here and say that that is my true core beliefs and that makes me a bad person is disingenuous.
Is it?
Of course not.
Was it sarcasm?
Absolutely. You should watch the show.
You were being sarcastic when you said... Let me just clarify.
You should watch the show.
Let me clarify for the audience. You were being sarcastic when you said a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner.
No.
You didn't believe that.
No, it's not that. It's that you haven't watched the show at length, and you should have, because the woman was saying, my man's car belongs to me because he's my man. And she was on OnlyFans. And then 20 minutes later, when she said she was on OnlyFans, I said, well, you're selling your body, that belongs to him because he's your man. And she laughed. She laughed and she said, ha, yeah, that's probably true. If you watch the show, it will make sense. For you to come here with doing no research at all and then say, I don't understand what I'm talking about, but I've got this piece of paper with a few things printed off, that's why you're saying the silly things you're saying. You should watch the show, do some research.
Do you believe it?
I've already answered the question.
Not really.
Of course I have. Can we move on? I've answered the question.
Do you believe that a woman's intimate parts belong to her male partner?
Of course not. I've just answered the question.
We've done that 3 times.
And does this woman believe that her man's car belongs to her? It's not a gendered argument. I really think that it's genuinely sad that when the BBC has a chance to finally interview me at the end of all this Matrix attack, that they don't come here with any kind of genuine openness to try and understand my influence over the world or the things I push or what I'm trying to teach the world or why I'm a good influence on the world, because I am a massively good influence. Instead, they come here with pieces of paper with printed out excerpts from 5-year-old podcasts taken out of context to attempt the same Matrix attack on me, which has been attempted endlessly. Every single person in Legacy Media has already tried this, and it doesn't work. I encourage you to read the comment section on YouTube when this goes on YouTube, and you will see that nobody believes a word you're saying.
The reason we're asking you about these comments is because we've got the chief executive of Rape Crisis naming you individually as spreading a dangerous ideology of misogynistic rape culture.
Absolute.
It's the comments you make that are leading people to say things like
absolute
this.
Garbage.
National organisations who are saying that, are blaming you for increasing levels of misogyny. Schools that are saying they are having increased incidents of girls being attacked, of female teachers being harassed.
If that was
by
true,
pupils, because of you and your teaching.
Well, that's absolute garbage. I have never, ever encouraged a student to attack a teacher, male or female, ever. I preach hard work, discipline. I'm an athlete. I preach anti-drug. I preach religion. I preach no alcohol. I preach no knife crime. Every single problem with modern society, I'm against. I'm teaching young men to be disciplined, to be diligent, to listen, to train, to work hard, to be exactly like me, with no criminal record, never even yet charged in this 14-month Matrix investigation. And I'm saying that if men grew up like me, which are hardworking and diligent and emotional control and stoic, we're gonna have a better society, not a worse society. To sit here and say that schools in England, which is a failing nation, which has knife crime going through the roof, violence going through the roof, men's mental health going through the roof, and they're going to all blame me because I appeared on the internet 1 year ago, is disingenuous. It's disingenuous.
You
And
also,
also,
financial success
correct.
with a Bugatti and a cigar, but it comes with a side order of misogyny.
How does having a Bugatti and a cigar come with misogyny?
Because it's all mixed together in what you teach. You teach that if a woman comes home and accuses you of cheating, you should hit her with a machete, shove her off.
Is that what I teach?
That's what you say.
No, if you actually watch the clip, it will be about the woman attacking me with a machete. As usual, you've not watched the video, taken it out of context, flipped it, and attempted to attack me with a small excerpt. Let me tell you something, Lucy. I'm sure you're a very nice person. I'm sure you're a fantastic person. But if I were to take everything you've ever said online and just take small excerpts out of context, I could make you look like a misogynist. I guarantee it. In fact, I might actually do that. And then you're going to sit here and say, oh shit, I'm a misogynist because my clips have been taken out of context. If you refuse to watch anything at length and understand it, then that's what's going to happen.
The National Police Chiefs League for Violence Against Women, the NSPCC, Rape Crisis, Safer Schools, they are all naming you as being behind an epidemic of misogyny, even amongst primary school children.
The idea that I made primary school children misogynistic because I own a nice car. Is that your argument?
It's the misogyny that comes along with it.
Oh, owning a nice car is misogynist.
No, it's the misogyny that comes along with it.
How does misogyny come along with owning a nice car?
Because you have an image of financial
I'm glad you're answering my questions now. We finally got the dynamic.
You have an image of financial success.
Answer my questions, as you should.
Excuse me. You have an image of financial success, but it comes along with attitudes towards women that are really problematic.
My attitudes towards women is that women should be protected and provided for, and I've said that at length. In fact, I've said that over 50 times online, you never mention it. I say that my girlfriend doesn't have to work unless she wants to, I take care of her, I die to protect a woman. I've talked about how I've stood up and faced a knife to protect a woman.
And in return, you want authority over her in the way you have over a child or a dog.
Absolutely not. I've said that women should be protected and provided for.
And in return, you want authority over her, because if you have responsibility for someone like a child or a dog, you say, you have authority over them.
If you want to go down this argument, we'll go down this nuanced argument. I said that if I have responsibility for her safety, I should have a degree of authority over her safety. Meaning, and let me explain my point. If I'm the one who has to fight and die to protect her, I'm the one who decides how we walk home. I'm the one who decides the route we take. Because it's unfair for her to say, I want to walk through the most dangerous neighborhood in the world, but you have to face the knives. That's what I've said. And then you're going to sit here and pretend that I'm trying to treat women like dogs, which is garbage. Every single man in the world who loves this woman understands that he has to protect her. And every single woman in the world likes the idea of a man who would protect her. If you were to say to most women home right now, do you want your husband to protect you in a violent attack? They'd say, yeah, of course. Nothing I've said is misogynistic.
If you said to most women, would you want to lose authority in the relationship, to not be treated as a free and legal equal to your partner?
I didn't say that. I said I need to have authority over the route we walk home.
When you compare women and the authority over women that you believe you should have to having authority over a child or a dog, it's not the same, because a woman is a free, legal adult.
Correct.
You're equal.
Free, legal adult, my equal. But if I had a girlfriend and we were walking home late at night and I said, let's not walk down that area, it's a bad area, I have to protect you if anything happens, I want to take the long way. And she said, no, I have to walk this way, even though it's the most dangerous route, I must.
Then what?
Then I would say, you're welcome to, you could do it, you're a free and legal equal, but I'm not going to walk with you and protect you. I think that I should be able to decide the route, because I have an obligation. And my obligation as a man is to protect and provide for females. Everything I'm talking about is traditional gender roles, which 10 years ago, less than 10 years ago, would not be considered outlandish, would not be considered crazy, would not be considered dangerous or misogynistic. The world has changed, and a lot of people haven't changed with the world. Please understand, there's a lot of women at home watching this right now who like the idea of their man sticking up for them, protecting them, and providing for them. And just because the world has gone crazy and the legacy media has gone crazy, most people at home are still relatively sane. And these are the people who are going to write on the comments that Andrew isn't saying anything that's outlandish. It's the whole world believes these things.
I don't know why you're using this. I don't know why you're using this. I told you. Say this twice. I told you. They come in and they smile, they shake their hands, and then they read one coffee line excerpts from Black Roll.
It's fine. It's fine.
Majority versus minority.
Goes like that.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm having a nice conversation with Lucy. I'm enjoying it. So it's no problem. It's been fun so far.
These people are our own capital. People are on the social thing.
It's fine. We good?
Yes.
Tell me when.
Do you want to clap again?
Yes, no. We didn't stop, no?
I can do the clap. Now we good?
No, no,
Fine.
thank you. Thanks.
If a man broke into your house, wouldn't you want your husband to protect you?
There's a difference between conservative values and emotional control, coercive control.
We're
lack
talking
of
about
consent.
protection now, and I'm saying if someone broke into your house, would you want your husband to protect you?
It's not about conservative values or protection, it's what you're demanding in return for that.
Well, I'll give you this. I don't know who your husband is. I don't know if he would stand up to protect you or die for you, but I'll give you this. If someone broke into this house right now and was a homicidal maniac, I would expect me and the other men in this room to stand up and face them while you and the other women in this room could protect yourselves. I would actually believe the men should go and engage the attacker. I believe that. And even though I don't know you, and you've come into my house with a hostile agenda, and you've come here to try and make me look bad, I would still stand up to protect you. I would still stand up to protect you because I believe that's my role as a man.
I am asking you about things that you have said that have caused major national organizations, including the police, to worry about you by name. That's what I'm asking you about.
It's not what I say.
It's not about whether you protect your partner or not. It's about what you have said that has caused such concern in the UK. And I want to put it to you that you don't really care about the harm it causes.
That's not true.
Because
that's not true.
Making controversial statements like this online has made you a lot of money.
Okay, so first thing, I genuinely am a force for good in the world. You may not understand that yet, but you will eventually. And I genuinely believe I'm acting under the instruction of God to do good things, and I want to make the world a better place. I genuinely believe my legacy is a good legacy, and I believe that eventually when the legacy media catches up, they're going to understand I'm a good positive influence. I'm not interested in damaging the world for money, because if I was interested in damaging the world for money, I could have sold drugs, or I could make rap music and encourage everyone to stab each other like all the drill artists do.
Or you could make controversial statements online that attract a lot of followers who you then direct to your website where they pay
I could make
to
jokes.
learn how to be
Sure,
like you.
I mean, I could make jokes online. Who doesn't? I mean, I could make a joke
Are you
online.
saying that all the controversial things you've said are jokes?
No, I'm saying that these organizations and the BBC who are going to sit here and pretend that I am the face of damaging the youth is absolutely garbage. It's completely disingenuous.
It makes you
And the
money.
reason
I'm
is
sorry, we have agreed to do an interview where you are going to ask questions that are going to give us the opportunity to clarify some things. These are very loaded questions.
sorry.
And so far, I'm sorry, I have arranged this and I'm talking right now. So, these are very loaded questions, and this is not what we discussed, and this is not the conversation that we agreed to.
We were very clear that the questions
You're sitting there and just accusing, we're not here to face new allegations. This has all been discussed, answers have been provided, so if we could please move on from this side of the interview, I would appreciate it.
I would like to hear what Andrew's got to say about the fact that when you make controversial statements, it attracts people to follow you, and then you direct them to your website where they pay you a monthly fee to learn how to be like you. And so the more controversial statements you make, the more money you get.
the fact that that's the path you've outlined to one, my online university, and two, my presence on the internet. The fact that you believe that's the path just shows you've done absolutely zero research. Genuinely zero research.
Okay, so how many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media?
Genuinely zero research.
How many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University come to you through your social media where you direct them to the website?
And Lucy, I encourage you to go out there, do some genuine research, watch my videos, of course, watch my videos at length, and truly understand what I'm doing.
How many of the people who sign up for Hustlers University at $49.99 a month come to you because they see your social media comments?
There's an online school called Hustlers University, which I don't own. I influence for, along with many other influencers, and they sign up for your website, which I don't own. And once again, that's nothing to do with me. And you're going to sit here and say that I made a joke. I made a joke online 4 years ago because a woman said that she owned her man's car, and you made a joke, and that means that you, because you have a Bugatti and the most misogynistic.
Superior.
This is going down a path of absolute insanity. It's not true. None of this is true. I don't hurt people. I don't harm people. I'm genuinely a positive influence.
You are renowned.
I'm renowned
for offensive and controversial.
That's not why I'm renowned. I'm actually renowned. I'm actually renowned for helping young men, because we talk about there's a men's mental health crisis, and we talk about we pretend to care that men are upset. But as soon as I discuss men's issues, it's misogynistic. It doesn't have to be gendered. Just because I believe men have a point of view and men have rights and men are allowed to think and believe and act a certain way that helps them internally, that doesn't mean it's anti-female. In fact, I believe it's actually pro-female. I think when a man is true to his influence and true to his essence and he's good within himself, he's a positive influence in the world and he's positive for the women around him.
So
just because I discuss men's issues, people say, oh, you're anti-woman. I'm not anti-woman, I love women.
Why are so many women saying that when their boyfriends start following you,
they're not.
They experience more control.
So many.
They experience
How many?
more abuse.
How many?
Enough.
Enough. Well, this is the first time I've heard of it. So, in fact...
One is too many.
Oh, of course, yeah. So, in fact, I've seen thousands and thousands of comments and have endless emails from women praising the fact that their sons are listening to me, praising the fact that their husbands.
The things I'm saying, does it not worry you?
It would worry. You're
not concerned about
it. It would worry me if I was genuinely damaging the world. But for you to sit here and say, Andrew, you become the most Googled man in the world, you have billions of views, and one woman, is now saying that her husband is not the same man she wants him to be, when thousands and thousands of people are saying the opposite, well, then I would say
I've
that's.
presented you with case after case after case with quotes.
The minority versus the majority.
After quote after quote of people who are genuinely concerned about the impact you're having, and you brush it off as if it's nothing.
No, what you have done is come here with an agenda, you've come here with loaded questions, you've come here with things taken out of context, you come here with things that you don't understand are satirical, and then you're going to also sit and say that one woman said that her boyfriend changed when he watched one of your videos, and then I don't know what you expect me to say to that. That's
sarcastic and jokes.
No.
That's how you explain the comments you make.
For you to sit down...
Would you like to apologise for any of them?
For you to sit down... For you to sit down, it's fine, no, it's fine, it's easy. For you to sit down and say that one woman said that her boyfriend watched an Andrew Tate video and now he won't do the dishes, or whatever your argument is, and that I'm somehow the worst, most dangerous man in the world because I have a car, is just disingenuous. And I'm enjoying this interview very much because this shows the world. It's great. It shows the world the truth about the legacy media because they beg me for interviews. They beg me, you have been begging me for months, please, we need to be relevant. And then you come here with loaded questions trying to paint a picture of me, which is completely and utterly false. I am a good positive influence for the world. The things I teach men are stoicism, discipline, self-respect, hard work, obeying authority, listening to your fight coach, working hard in school, making as much money as possible in your job. If you actually watch the things I say, if you actually watch my comments about women, I've done long podcasts for hours long about females, talking about protecting for them, providing for them, how I believe a woman should be treated in a relationship. I've done all of this, but you don't watch any of it, and then you come here and ask me to answer questions I've answered at length thousands of times.
Since you came out of custody, there seems to have been a lot about your charity work.
Correct.
On your social media.
I've always done the charity work, but now I'm promoting it.
There seems to be a real shift.
Yeah.
I wonder what's behind that.
Well, I've always done the charity work. I've been doing the charity work for years. I believe that it's my legacy to leave a positive influence on the world, and I've been doing charity work for over 5 years. Post my incarceration, my unfair, unjust incarceration, may I add. Post that, I've made it more clear the charity work I'm doing. But this is, once again, very interesting. I spend $25 million a year feeding children. Men, male children, and female children. In Turkey, in Syria, in Iran, and Iraq. I literally spend $25 million a year feeding children. And I'm still the worst man in the world because 4 years ago I made a sarcastic comment.
Because some people would look at that and say, okay, so before you got money from attracting people to your website by making controversial comments, but that might have got you into trouble. And so now you're looking for a new market. You're looking for a new market of followers who are attracted by a different sort of persona.
I've always done the charity work, so that is obviously incorrect. And I have proof that I've always done the charity work, so you're wrong, firstly. I believe that if you have a lot of wealth, you should help people, and I'm helping people. I also think it's very, very interesting that you could not find another celebrity in the UK or anywhere else who's spending £25 million a year feeding children in war-torn countries. I'm doing that, and I've been doing that for a long time without even mentioning it. I never even said it. And now that I've said it, people are going to attack me for it and say that it's disingenuous. The person in Sudan who's eating the meal, do you think they believe it's disingenuous? No, I think they feel pretty good that Andrew Tate fed them. And to sit here and say that I'm a bad person now because I'm manipulating charity, because I'm using charity, I'm just trying to do good in the world. That's all I've ever been trying to do.
when women speak out against you online, disagree with what you say, they describe being bombarded with rape threats, with death threats, trolling by your followers. Would you like to say anything to your followers about how to behave in that situation?
Absolutely, correct. I would love to do that. First things first, I've yet to see a female stand up and argue with me online. I don't ever see hardly any, although the women who message me agree with me. Secondly, I don't think that anybody who disagrees with me, male or female, should be trolled. I don't think they should be insulted or attacked. I think the ideas should be discussed openly and fairly and maturely. It doesn't matter if a man agrees with me or disagrees with me, or a female. I don't think my followers should come along and attack her, and if my followers...
Facts. True.
Are doing that, I'm upset by that. But let's make a very important clarification. That's not my followers. That's the internet. If you were to log into any video game lobby, I don't play video games, and someone were to sit there and say something stupid, they would be trolled with similar comments. That's the unfortunate reality of the internet as a whole. That's nothing to do with me. But I encourage all of my followers to engage in open discourse and be fair and honest and talk in a way which is mature. There's no need to troll anybody, male or female.
Okay.
Cassie, anything?
A couple of things. I wonder if it would be worth giving Andrew one more opportunity to consider whether or not he would like to apologise or give an indication of how he feels about the allegations that he has negatively influenced young people in the UK. And secondly, I think we should put on record that this interview is taking place in your house because you're under house arrest. If it were not for that, then we would have chosen another location, I'm sure. We would have negotiated that between us. So I think that's just worth putting on record.
Okay. So, just to put on the record then, you said that you've invited us into your house.
Correct.
We're here because you're under house arrest.
Correct.
If you were free to leave, we would have negotiated a more neutral setting.
Don't you think, as the BBC, it would be very interesting to come here and discuss the fact that I was put in a dungeon for 92 days and then locked in house arrest without charge? Don't you think that's a far more interesting conversation than old YouTube snippets? Don't you think that would be interesting?
You're here under house arrest because there's an ongoing investigation into rape and human trafficking allegations against you.
Correct. I've been incarcerated without charge. And don't you think
the rape allegation
it's been dropped?
Has been incarcerated for.
Correct. So I'm incarcerated without charge, and I think that would be a far more interesting conversation. But then I guess Julian Assange is incarcerated without charge, and nobody's interested in that either. So if you actually wanted to do some genuine journalism and investigation, we could talk about the fact that an innocent man who is yet to be charged with a crime has had his liberty deprived of him. And I think that would be a far more interesting angle than talking about me being the most dangerous man in the world because I own the car.
And this question about schools being very worried about your influence.
Yeah.
Boys in primary school, or boys as young as 11 are quoting you at school, attacking girls, refusing to respect female teachers.
Yeah.
Would you like to say anything about that?
I'd like to say a lot. First things first, as I've repeatedly said, and the only reason I keep repeating it is because I'm sure this interview will be edited. I am a positive force for the world, and I teach children discipline. I teach the world discipline, male or female, of any age. And a lot of women listen to me as well. 40% of the people who listen to me are actually female. Secondly, I do understand with my massive influence, and I am now the one of the most influential people on the planet, that I do have to be slightly more careful with things I say. I'm not going to disagree with that. The idea that I said something 5 years ago on a video that got 300 views...
So what do you mean, being slightly more careful?
I'll give you an example. Some of the jokes I made 4 or 5 years ago on a YouTube channel that got 300 views, I would no longer make...
Like what?
Like the OnlyFans joke, the one you mentioned repeatedly. When she said, my man's car is my car. And then she said she did OnlyFans. And I said, what do you saw on OnlyFans? She said, my tits. And I said, well, those are your man's tits. As a joke, ha ha ha, everybody laughed. The fact that I could do that on a podcast 5 years ago and it only got 300 views, now I understand I'm the most influential man on the face of the planet. I would be more careful with certain things I say. That doesn't mean the things I originally said were genuinely out to harm people.
Do you really believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Googled person on the planet.
Do you believe you're the most influential man on the face of the planet?
I'm the most Googled man on the planet.
I think we're done.
Yep. Thanks, Lucy. It was enjoyable.
Zoho
hold up as models. And so are there countries now that hold up as models for, pretty good response to this?
The answer is yes, but right now it seems that every country is suffering.
Yeah.
We are often compared with countries that are not comparable to us. We are not a little island of 5 million people that we can shut off. We're not a country that would accept if a ruler tells us, you must do this. I was talking with our UK colleagues just today who were saying the UK is very similar to where we are now in our outbreak because each of our countries have that independent spirit, but we don't want to be told what to do. Well, I understand that, but now is the time to do what you're told. And I think it really is something that we should be doing right now. If you look at it,